up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Healthy Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Bella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Dude, fucked up the goddamn camera while we were going. Finally, Kevlar has come back to Wrestling on the Rocks. That's right, everybody. This is Wrestling on the Rocks, where every show is our first show because we just can't figure it out. While we were doing the intro, the camera went out. I got it back going again, and now all the lighting on it's messed up. This looks all right. I think this is all right. I think we're doing it. Let me see. Oh, I forgot to unmute Kev for a minute there. It's all good. We're doing this, man. We're going. This is it, man. This is episode 1, Dive Bar of the IWC Wrestling on the Rocks. I am at Ref Marsh. This is at WOTR, the show. And right there, as per never, at Kevlar on the Rocks, the other half of the IIRonics. Kev, go ahead.
Still pushing it.
Yeah, it's going to happen, man. We're going to sell that goddamn shirt. How you doing, Kev? Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm good. Hanging in there. Still hot as shit here in Arizona.
Yeah, it does not let up. It's not let up one bit. Not at all. Let's see. Oh, man, I didn't realize this was set up wrong. All right, this is good. No, we're doing it. It's good stuff. Kev, let's start with something easy. Something that we know. What's in your glass?
Today, I'm drinking some proper number 12. Fighting on Saturday, so starting the festivities a little early.
That's a good point. It's got a matchup. Did you see the video that they did to advertise it?
No.
The voiceover's by Becky.
Oh, I heard something about that, actually, but I still haven't watched it.
All right, I'll
Pretty
send
cool.
it to you. I will send it to you. I'm going to have myself a Coors Light, and then you know what? I'll join you with the proper 12. I wasn't sure what I was going to drink after I finished it, but I got proper 12 right here, so we can get all proper.
12 times over will be proper.
Oh, yeah. Justin Time's in the chat already. Sierra, Alligator, and Kuro in the chat. Cheers to everyone. Thank you guys for coming through and being part of the show and derailing it. It's one of my favorite things you guys do.
Yep. Pretty good at it.
Yeah, they're pretty good at it. If anybody wants to join and derail as well, twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks. You can go to wrestlingonrocks.com, find all of our links. Justin has a comment for you, Kev. Woo!
What's up?
The Suns and Bucks in the finals. I know Kev is
Yes,
definitely
sir.
happy as I am.
A little more, I think. But yes,
That's probably true.
I'm beyond excited. That's why we're going early today, so I can watch the game.
Yeah, this is the special NBA playoff startup time. We are like the opposite of wrestling shows. We don't get preemptive. We just go before it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So, yeah. The NBA kicks wrestling shows to the side, and we decided to get one in first. Quick jab.
Yeah, quick jab. Bah, bah, bah. What are you going to do? Bah. Kev, I'm going to read this real quick. I don't know if... God, dude, when was the last time you were on the show, dude? Like, how many months has it been?
Probably like 13, 14.
13, 14 sounds about right. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
You do know that we got ourselves a little sponsor, did you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
The coffee.
Have ourselves a
New
sponsor.
Wave, right?
New Wave Coffee. Newwave.co. NOOWAVE.co. Flow State Coffee is specialty grade coffee with L-theanine and raw cacao for productivity and creativity. Better energy, focus, and mood than a regular cup of coffee, while decreasing the negative side effects like anxiety and blood pressure. And guys, I've been loving it. Clump's been loving it. Bishop from TUW Takes Podcast, he's been loving it, and we think you guys should go there too. Throw in the promo code CHEERS for an additional 10% off any ongoing sale that they have going on already. If you buy a single bag, you'll get 10% off. If you buy a subscription, you'll get an additional 10% off on top of whatever the first bag cost would have been. So check them out. He was trained by Lance Storm. He's an indie wrestler. And if you pay attention to Lance Storm on Twitter, he just posted a bag of his New Wave coffee there too. I didn't see a promo code for him though, so
Just saying.
just throwing that out there, guys. So cheers to New Wave for that. Also, for TW Takes Podcast, if you go to twtakespodcast.com/TWTs and you throw in the promo code DIVEBAR, because we are the dive bar of the IWC, of this side of the IWC, properly curated by Just In Time 211, friend of the show. You get an additional, I believe, 25% off his already really low prices and his incredibly fast shipping. So, guys, a lot of sales, a lot of good stuff here. Let's see. Sierra's in the chat. Sierra Alligator. Love L-theanine. Cool. I take the vitamin. That's cool. Cool. It all sounds cool. I would say try it in your coffee. I know you like coffee. I know you like chocolate. Here's coffee and chocolate with that vitamin. So we'll have to sort you out. We'll have to get some New Wave down there to try it out. Also, the way Bishop's been doing it is he got the little cups. Also, the way that Lance Storm is saying he does it, the little
Cups.
the K cups. But they have the ones where you put your own coffee in there. That's what they've been doing to get their single glasses and stuff, and apparently it works really well with those machines too. So
Yeah,
all good.
I got one of those. You just put whatever brew you want in there, and you get one cup. Pretty nice.
Seems good, guys. I'm happy we're all back together again. The IIRonics back together yet again.
The comeback tour.
The comeback tour.
Mm-hmm.
There is a bit of news going on right now. Let's start off with something that happened. We talked about it on Thursday because it had already taken place there, but you didn't get an opportunity to mention anything about it, so I want to give you the chance to do so.
Right.
Del Wilkes, the Patriot, passed away. Rest in peace.
Yes. Rest in peace.
I don't know if there was anything that if you had any particular. I remember you liking him a lot as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, he was the Patriot. What was not to like about him?
Well,
He was All-America. And what?
He was in a program against Bret Hart, so I didn't like him one bit. I was booing him. Bret Hart,
Bret Hart back in the day was anti-America.
Yeah, and I was on board. That's when I thought I wished I was Canadian. And to this day, I might have been right.
I mean,
we'll see. Once those borders open. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to him.
Yes.
Also, Becky and Seth Rollins officially got married. That happened last week. So if you want to say congrats there, you can.
Yeah, congratulations, of course.
Yep. And then I thought there was one other thing besides this. This can't be the only thing I have here. But the big news, the thing that everyone's talking about right now is
Right meow?
Right meow. Jimmy Uso, he got arrested today or last night for another DUI. They say that he blew a .205.
Goodness.
Yeah, legal
He
limit.
should be on the show.
Yeah, right. Well, that's just it too. I mean, we talk about it all the time, especially with Clump on the show, who doesn't drink. It's not about what you're drinking; it's about who you're drinking with. And guys, above all else, it's about being safe. And one of the things that we have enjoyed most about our remote ability is the idea that when we do have drinks, that none of us are having to try and catch rides home or risk anything. So, I mean, it's sad more than anything, and I implore anybody, if they're at a .205, please don't drive. Get an Uber, a Lyft, a taxi. The amount of rideshare programs that are available now, I think Bishop even mentioned it on his, at this day and age, it's just an embarrassment to just be the guy who's not calling a ride.
Yeah, and like you said, with the ride shares, Ubers, and everything like that, like, it's so easy. You just pop it in on your phone and hop in somebody's car. They drop you off. That's it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not like it's hard to get back to your car if you drove to some place and made a poor decision. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know, man. This is, I guess,
the other thing is,
go ahead.
You know, I don't want to say he planned on getting drunk, but Uber it to wherever you're going and back.
Yeah.
You know, have a plan to start out the night with.
Yeah, if you don't even get there with a car, your own car, then you can't make a poor decision when you're inebriated and unable to make proper decisions. Because I do think that there's a reality there too. So I don't know. I mean, it's just at this point, it's just sad, man. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, this is like, I guess, his 5th DUI. I don't know, it just sucks. The guy clearly needs help. And I just feel bad because, I mean, we're going to talk about it when we talk about SmackDown. The dude's killing it when we see him. He's never done anything but entertain us. And just sad to see somebody struggle like that, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, I'd say cheers, but it's not the idea here.
Yeah.
Well, shit, dude. I thought
Cheers
we had
to getting a safe ride home. That's what we can cheers to.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers to getting home soon and safe. And again, it's not about what you're drinking; it's about who you're drinking with. And if you find yourself in any position that you are even the least bit questioning your ability to drive, then don't do it. Bishop was in the Twitter chat. He says, "Yes, cheers. I'd love to go live at 6 Eastern." Yeah, see, dude, well, we've gone early before. Man, I don't have other news, and I swear to God, there was another news thing that I'm just completely. If anybody's in the chat and has anything news-wise you want us to talk about, we can talk about it. But a lot of the other stuff I think we're going to be talking about is going to be coming up as we go through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with the returns and all. Was there anything going on that you wanted to talk about, or anything else you want to say about the Jimmy Uso thing?
No, it just, see people make poor decisions repeatedly. Might be something, beyond what, we see.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to, might be facing some other demons that, he's covering up and drinking about, and hopefully he can, find peace, or even if he's just drinking a lot just to party, then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's kind of weird that we're, yeah. I was gonna say it's kind of weird that we're sitting here and our show's Wrestling on the Rocks. We're having a drink and telling people just to be responsible, but it's kind of contradicting.
No, I mean we've always been supportive of sobriety in general. I mean Clump is our third, and he's not had a single drink with us on the show. He's always had coffee and soda, and the whole idea of it is community, not drinking. It's not that drinking drives the community. It's that drinking should be something you do responsibly amongst community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We even did the Sober for October when that came around. Like, yeah, it's just one of those things where, I mean, this isn't like that Comedy Central show, Drunk History or whatever, where we try to see how obliterated we could get and come up with stuff. There's definitely been episodes here and there where we've had probably more than we had anticipated having. But at the end of the day, we try to be responsible about how we handle those after the fact,
Yeah, we're not getting in our cars and driving home.
Yeah.
Going elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like I said, the idea of sobriety and drinking responsibly, I think, in community has always been more so what we're talking about than the act of drinking. So, Kiro says cruiserweight tag titles. I have no idea what he's talking about. He says, seriously, no one saw the cruiserweight tag titles, and that's correct. No one saw that. Justin says, the only other thing I've seen is Dana Brooke getting engaged to boxer Ulysses Diaz. That's true. Congratulations to them. They definitely they got engaged there. So cheers to them.
Actually, you're still dating that basketball player.
No, after the basketball player, she had a little bit of a Twitter back and forth with Batista. And then she started dating an MMA fighter, Ulysses Diaz.
Oh, congratulations. Cheers.
Yeah. Give me what I want. Oh, the other thing is Terry Funk. Apparently he's been admitted to a care facility. He's got dementia, according to what we're seeing online and stuff. And so, cheers to him as well and get better. Or I don't know how any of that stuff works, man. But you feel bad for a dude who fought so hard for so long. And then the idea that he might not be able to remember it all or tell the difference anymore. Can you imagine? He fucking thinks he's Chainsaw Charlie for an afternoon?
No, like, I've always wondered that with like actors that have dementia or Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Because I know, like I had a relative that had it. A lot of times they would like relive the past. But anyways, I was just wondering about like an actor that has had 100 different roles. Like say Johnny Depp, for example, he develops it. Like he'll be walking around as Jack Sparrow one minute, then Edward Scissorhands. Like, should be crazy.
I mean, it sounds sad, but it also sounds like fucking crazy cool. You know? Like if you walked in to go visit Terry and he had like pantyhose over his face.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Charlie, how you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Kiro's in the chat. He says he sent a link for a Ringside News article. It says design revealed for scrapped WWE Cruiserweight Tag Team titles. I can tell you without clicking it, I don't believe anything inside of there. For one, Ringside News is the least reputable source of all shitty sources. Two, if it was scrapped, there's no evidence whatsoever that it actually was happening and not some sort of fan art or even I mean, I could send down a picture of Wrestling on the Rocks title that WWE was going to post one day. You know what I mean? And then even then, the King of the Ring title that Mabel had made, they never put it on TV, never had intention to. He made it for himself, you know?
Yeah.
So I just don't believe it. I mean, we'll talk about that for a second, too. The idea that the Jimmy Uso news broke through TMZ Sports, I think highlights the idea that these dirt sheet writers and these, in quotes, wrestling journalists don't understand the reason that no one looks at them as journalists and looks at them as fanboys is because they don't get news. They report tweets. They report conjecture. They report rumor based off of podcasts and stuff. Like, they literally don't find news. They just report what they're witnessing as fans. I don't remember the last time I actually read anything from any of these, quote, journalists that wasn't actually already out there. The closest you get is Sean Ross Sapp seems to find out who's being fired moments before they tweet that the person's been fired. And if that's all I'm getting out of the guy, I'm not thrilled to do it. Let's see. Kira says it came from Jack Gallagher. I don't know, man. Gallagher. But I mean, even then, so one of the articles that came out after this was that backstage officials are very upset at Jimmy Uso. That's what the wrestling journalists are writing.
No.
I'm like, yeah, what? They're not thrilled by this?
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
Right. Breaking. I wonder who the source is.
Yeah.
But all of them are, reporting the TMZ article that was actual news. And it's just, I don't know. It's silly, the idea that these... I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a fan who's into reporting what's happening in the wrestling world, but maybe because I just think of journalism as being a different thing. Maybe that's why I get butthurt about it. That's why we make up stuff here, and now we're journalists.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and it's a sad story too, so it's a sad example, but I mean, it is what it is. When those things actually come out, it comes from like a TMZ. It doesn't come from a PW Insider. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Yeah, let's get into SmackDown, dude. Let's get into SmackDown.
Into it.
Yeah, I don't think we're missing anything. So, SmackDown opened up with Edge cutting a promo on Roman Reigns. I love that he had the video proof. And he's like, zoom in. And it does this almost like, it's called the Ken Burns effect. When you have a zoom start in one spot and go to another spot. They just did this Ken Burns under the eyes. And then from there, zoomed up to Edge's face. Like, it was so funny because it wasn't like you couldn't see it already.
Yeah.
They zoomed in anyways.
And I like how Edge was giggling about it.
Yeah.
He's like, look at his eyes. He snickers and stuff. Loved it.
Yeah. talking about how scared he looked, how that was a man in distress and all that, and about how Edge's look was intense. Dude, you haven't been on since Edge's even come back. What'd you think when Edge's music hit a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever?
You know what's weird is I was thinking about it because after Rey Mysterio, because obviously that was like a real quick fill-in, opponent for Roman.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like. So I was like, man, who else can he go after? Then I was like, well, Big E doesn't make sense. Like Seth Rollins kind of cool. And then I was like, what happened to Edge? He came in, he lost, and he disappeared. And then, when his music hit, I just kind of was like, there he is. He's here.
There we go.
Yeah.
I've been thinking for weeks when Edge is coming back. And for whatever reason, I didn't have this one like scouted at all. Like when his music hit, I was like, "Oh shit, it's now!" Like
it's right now.
Yeah, it's now. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
No. So I was pretty stoked by it, and I love this promo, dude. Edge is so good. He's on a whole other level. I mean, I think most of SmackDown's on another level, dude.
Yeah.
Let's see. He says that he's inevitable. Oh, I hear that a lot. When people leave and come back, they say they like went from like unwanted or undesirable to inevitable and undeniable and all that. I've been hearing that so much in this past like year or two.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like that Cody Rhodes was the first one to say it because I think that was his whole moniker type deal when he went to the Indies after being released from WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Undeniable to undesirable to undeniable. And I feel like that a lot of people like straight jacked it now. But it says he's inevitable. He's going to be Universal Champion. Do you think Edge could be the dude that actually gets the title off Roman?
I don't think so. Because I don't know. Because I think they're slow building Roman versus Seth.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, I don't know. I don't think he can be, I don't think Edge will be the dude. Yeah, I mean, we'll see when Money in the Bank, how that plays out.
Yeah, I did. We'll get to that promo in a bit too, but I don't know. I think that it's believable that Edge could. More so than the last number of people who've gone up against Roman.
But that's the whole point, is they want you to have believable competition. Like, no one knew, or no one thought Ray was going to take it from him. Some people hoped, but it was like, nah, this isn't going to happen.
I think with most of Roman's opponents, it's been like, yeah, they're not going to win. But it was the triple threat at Mania and this one that I think are the only two times that it's really been like, I don't know, it could. It wouldn't be the most unbelievable thing. It wouldn't be crazy. The idea of Edge holding a title again would be, heartwarming and all.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where he even brought it up in his promo about, hey, I was supposed to, win on the anniversary of when he had to retire. Wait, was it the anniversary of when he had to retire or when he won his first championship?
I think it's when he retired.
Okay. Yeah. But anyways, like, it was like, cool. Like, we, people saw that and be like, oh, this is going to happen, like a timeline type of thing. And it didn't. So, it might be just WWE throwing a quick curveball and, leaving it on Roman a little longer. And yeah, maybe Edge takes it.
And this whole story is why I still stand by everything I said going into Mania when everyone was shitting on Daniel Bryan being in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I was like, maybe you do it just because you can. And when are you ever going to have that opportunity again? And you can easily do Daniel Bryan and Roman one-on-one and Edge and Roman one-on-one. But here we have a chance to do all three.
Yeah.
And since then, what do we get? An amazing Daniel Bryan-Roman match.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Roman and Edge one-on-one. It looks like we all get to have our cake and eat it too.
Yep.
It's almost like if you just sit back and watch. Instead of getting mad every time, it's not exactly what you wanted it to be. We'll keep going as they come through, because I believe a little bit after that. No, it was a little bit later. So after that, we had Big E and Shinsuke Nakamura against Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. This was the start of this week's, like, we're throwing a whole bunch of stuff together. It felt like a lot of fruitcake going on. And this is one, too, where it's all like, really? Big E and Shinsuke against Apollo and Baron? That feels really awkwardly put together.
Yeah.
And the whole thing's all about Baron Corbin. So what do you think about this? Baron Corbin's lost all his money in his investments. He lost his crown to Shinsuke, and now he's kind of sad Baron Corbin.
Yeah,
during the match, they towed his car.
Yeah. I want the crowd to start chanting, "Pay your bills."
That'd be good. Yeah, pay my Baron bills. Pay my Baron bills.
But, I mean, yeah, it was all about Baron and stuff like that. And we even said that, you know, we liked the whole crown thing. Like, it was awesome. And I don't know where they're going to go with it. Maybe Baron snaps and get like a broken Baron.
There's like no way he goes babyface, right? Because they're really laying it on thick that he's kind of a sad character that you can't. So like it's getting hard to boo him right now. Like Boogs was following him around in the back, making a bunch of keen jokes at his expense. And Baron's just like, man, screw you. Like, I've lost everything. He's like, walks away all solemn. And you're just kind of like, oh, man, that sucks for Baron. You know?
Yeah.
As good as I think Baron is, I don't know that he's a babyface. You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely not flashy. And a lot of the baby faces nowadays have to have real flashy things. He's not about to start flipping. I'll tell you that right now.
Nope.
Can you imagine Baron Corbin just fucking knocks out a 450 splash like next episode against like Big E?
Hell
It's
yeah.
like a Ricochet style. Just Time does say, felt like a random WWE 2K Universe tag match. 100%, man. And then Jeremy said, I never thought WWE could make me sympathetic for Baron Corbin. And Fabtina says, I see him with Sami Zayn. I could see that. The idea of Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin, you know, Baron goes back to Sami and being like, man, you were right, you know, or trying to say there's some sort of conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even at the end of the match, because Fabtina brings it up, at the end of the match when they were towing, he was just kind of there with his head down, like talking to himself. Visibly talking to himself. I was like, I don't know.
See, like I said, I think it'd be cool to see him like just snap and just go into like this mean motherfucker that's, you know, just pissed off at the world.
Yeah, I could see that. He's always been kind of lone wolf anyways. I could see him doing that. Or even getting his fortune back and being meaner than ever because, you know, nobody helped him when he was down kind of a deal, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, he's going to be more isolated than ever through this. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. What do you think of all the Boogs and Shinsuke stuff? Pat McAfee sitting on Michael Cole's head.
It's so good. I love it. Dude, McAfee's amazing. It just pisses me off that WWE didn't put him on longer. I mean, you know, sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. For the most part, I do feel like the Boogs thing is becoming a bit of a broken record to me, though. I'm getting a little tired of it.
I can kind of see that. It's because it's just a one-trick pony.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just think it's like the one kid saying one joke in class over and over again. You only laugh the first time or two. And the third time, you're just trying to be polite. And after a while, you're like, yeah, I get it. We all heard the joke last time. Like, it's not getting any different. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious to, you know, what do you do with Boogs moving forward? Do you get
That's a
a
good point.
Boog Shinsuke tag team?
I mean, do you even go Boogs, Baron Corbin as even a program? It wouldn't be the worst place for Boogs to start.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, it's going to be hard to cheer for him when he keeps making fun of Baron Corbin, and Baron Corbin just walks around looking sad. You know? Not exactly standing up for himself very well right now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I thought the match itself was pretty good. I think the program with Baron Corbin has me really invested in Corbin right now, so I think it's working. I just, like you said, I have no idea what's next, which I think is part of the reason why I'm enjoying it so much. It doesn't seem super telegraphed.
Yeah. Dude, who was it was the B team. I'm trying to remember who created their like own t-shirt where they just scribbled on it.
Oh, yeah.
They need a
B-team.
Baron Corbin shirt like that. Where he's in the back trying to make his money back and selling Baron Corbin shirts that he just wrote Baron Corbin on.
Yeah, he like couldn't afford a graphic designer, so he had to do it himself.
Yeah.
Can't afford anyone to design it for me. They just make it like with Forrest Gump. Remember where he had the mud all over his face and wipes his shirt with it, and then there's a smiley face.
Yeah.
He does something like that. Like Xeroxes like the side of his face, and so it's just like smushed up and just says Baron Corbin written all horribly underneath it.
Yeah.
It'd be so good, dude. Fapina says his head ? Yeah. When Boogs was coming out, Pat McAfee sat on Michael Cole's head. There's a couple gifs going around of it.
Yeah, he was on there.
Yeah, it's definitely perched up. But I mean, I like it. I don't know. Some stuff's getting a little bit tired to me, and I wonder how much, because I really feel it now. Remember I said a couple weeks back that I thought once we knew fans were coming back, that we were going to see a slowdown in the product, much like when we didn't know when the fans would come back, how it was like really a holding pattern for the first couple weeks of TV. And everyone's all like, oh, they're just going to wait. They're going to wait until there's fans. They're going to wait until they're fans. And it was like 3 weeks down the line, you're just all like, yeah, but how long do you not move forward? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they had to start moving forward, and I think they picked up that momentum and just went with it for a while. But I think now that there's light at the end of the tunnel, hey, we're 2 weeks away from fans, it's a lot of like, well, maybe we can hold off a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Well, and look at Drew McIntyre. He's definitely excited.
Oh my God.
You mentioned Fort Worth and San Antonio, and I'm going to tell you a story about the Alamo. Anyways, we'll get to that later.
Let's see. Well, after that, we had Bayley come out, cutting a promo about how not impressive Bianca is as a champion, how good she is. I agreed with everything she said.
Well, you know what's funny is, speaking of things getting stale, to me, I think Bianca as the champ stale already. Like, it's just not. It almost kind of like, obviously not nearly as bad by any means, but like almost when McIntyre first won, it was like, okay. Actually, it was when McIntyre won the Royal Rumble. It was like, all right, cool, and then it was like, all right, this was a mistake.
Yeah, it was just like too long. And so I do think that there's a definite holding pattern for Bianca. I do think Bianca's got a crazy charisma that they're expecting the fans to get behind. And I think the fans will, but it's also like, what have we done since she won the championship at this point? You know what I mean? Like, also just from a storyline standpoint, more of the superstars are interested in getting a Money in the Bank match than a championship match.
Yeah.
And it's always typically been that as much as people are trying to get in the Money in the Bank match, it's people who can't get a title shot. But usually there's somebody going for the title who's like, I don't need that Money in the Bank contract. They can cash it in on me type of a deal. But at this point, it's just, like you said, they're just playing it through with Bayley. And it feels like the women are more concerned about getting into a ladder match than getting into a title match in general. Which, I mean, you could always kayfabe that around and be like, well, yeah, because you get the advantage and all that stuff, and it's when you want. And yeah, sure, there's a lot of good reasons to want the Money in the Bank match. But if you really believe that you're championship material, then you're willing to take on the champion, right?
Yeah.
We got a lot of baby faces, and no one's trying to go for the title, so it is a little weird. It kind of undermines Bianca as a champion a little bit. So, I agree. It feels a little stale, and I'm not sure why. I do think that Bayley and Bianca as a program has been working really well, and I do think Bianca's getting better. Even like her promos have been way better since she's been talking against Bayley. So I think it's great, but yeah, a little stale.
I just like I just want something a little more. You know, and I don't even know 100% what it is, but it's like she's just like, all right, I'm the champ. Look at me, I'm the champ. And then the other thing that's annoying me with it too, she's always the one challenging. And I don't quite get that.
Yeah, 100%. I don't understand or like it very much when the champion is the one who's constantly putting out the challenges. I don't think it makes it look like a fighting champion. I don't.
It almost makes it look like you're like almost the exact opposite. Like you're picking and choosing who you want to fight against.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Like what they said, like with Floyd Mayweather. Oh, well, he picked his opponents, this and that. Well, that's what it looks like when the champions in WWE do the same thing.
Yeah. No matter how many times you cut a promo saying, well, I want to be the best, so I have to beat the best, and I think that you're the best number one contender, so I'm going to defend my title against you. It just sounds like a bunch of smoke. It sounds like you're being like, I'm pretty sure I could beat this person, so I'm going to defend it against them because I have to defend the title or they'll strip me of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see. In the chat a little bit, Kiro says, this SmackDown Women's Money in the Bank stuff has lost me. We'll get there in a minute. She says, entirely lost me. Women on Raw had to qualify, but the women on SmackDown didn't. I don't know how that's confusing to a lot of people, but I've seen that online a lot too. This happens every single year. One show has to qualify, one show does not. Every single year.
This isn't the one like show that has the 3 hours. So they're like,
I feel like they've it's typically been the other way, because we've mentioned that in the last 2 years, was that SmackDown had to qualify, but Raw didn't. Raw was appointing people, and we always said, why isn't Raw having the matches? Because they have longer time to fill. But it's always been that way. One show's had to qualify, and one show's just handed out positions for the most part.
Yeah.
For years, it's been that way. So I don't know if you're just noticing it this year because you're living in it, but it's been that way for a long time. So I'm past the idea of being frustrated by it, and just at this point I'm all like, oh, this is the show that they don't have to. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Just Time in the chat says, remember I said last week on episode 1, how long can you do this Bayley Bianca feud before people start disconnecting with it? It's not the feud I'm disconnecting with, it's Bianca as a champion I'm disconnecting with. I think the feud's going great. And I think that the feud is the best thing for Bianca, to be honest. I think Bianca's been doing better on the mic, in promos. Her matches have been getting better every time she's in the ring with Bayley. But I do think that the idea of no one else being involved, no other voice there, no number one contender talk, that's the part I'm disconnecting with, is Bianca as a champion in and of itself seems to be almost second thought in this program. Like Bayley brings it up because that's part of Bayley's delusion, is that she's the greatest champion ever and Bianca's a fake champion. So it works to push the story along, but outside of Bayley, no one else is talking about Bianca on the show.
Yeah.
You know, no one even the women in the SmackDown matches, or not matches, but even Carmella and we'll get there in just a second, but Zelina, they didn't mention cashing in on Bianca. They didn't say they want to take Bianca down. They just said, yep, I'll get the title shot for whichever championship I want, which also changes year after year. But no one on that roster is talking about, sometimes they're like, you have to cash in on your own brand. Sometimes you can go to any brand. Sometimes it says on either Raw or SmackDown. This time they're saying NXT 2, which I don't like that they've already planted that seed. But it's the fact that no other woman in the division at all is bringing up Bianca as a champion whatsoever. The fact that Carmella is more concerned about being thought of as beautiful than being a champion. You know what I mean? The fact that Liv keeps saying she wants an opportunity and to watch me, but at no point has she brought up Bianca's name once. Like, that's the disconnect for me, is that Bianca's only the champion when Bayley's making fun of her about being a champion. No other talent on that show is talking about Bianca as a champion, and I think that's where the disconnect is. Because even Drew and Bobby Lashley, when they were champion, there was always somebody else talking about it. You know what I mean? Sheamus was talking about Drew and Randy and Bobby Lashley, and even the other guys in the Hurt Business were mentioning the idea of getting, why couldn't they do it? Like, there's other people should be there to want the title, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, that's
the big prize.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Just in time to say SmackDown's women's roster has very, no women. That's one reason I believe they're just announcing the competitors. And it's very possible that that's the reason why that's the show that they're doing that on. But go back and check out any of the previous years. One show never had to qualify. Other show had to qualify. It was typically reversed, though, because I remember us complaining that Raw had more time and less women's matches than SmackDown. But maybe the SmackDown women's roster was just bigger than the Raw women's roster at the time. It's very possible that that's how they decide which one it's going to be. Because then at that point, everything looks like a tournament, right? If you had 2 episodes where everyone's qualifying for one thing, maybe it just feels too tournament-like, and they're trying to keep a separation between the shows. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
We're not backstage. What do we know?
Nope.
But we are getting a Bianca and Bayley I Quit match, which is only the 3rd women's I Quit match in the history of WWE, it seems. I'm actually excited for it. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance Bayley wins this match?
I mean, I think, I think there's always a possibility for Bayley to win the championship. Yeah. Is she going to be the one to take it off of Bianca? Maybe. And, and truthfully, if she does, I wouldn't complain about it.
Yeah.
But after this, it's all right, where do you go?
What do you think about her saying in the promo that she didn't say she would, but she said, I might as well, if she goes, if I quit, I might as well leave SmackDown, or I can stop wrestling altogether, or, you know what I mean? Leave WWE, I'll never compete again. That whole thing. She didn't say that any of those were stipulation. I think it's going to be part of the story next week too.
Yeah.
But it does make me wonder, do you think there's a possibility they turn it into a loser leaves town match and Bayley ends up on Raw?
I was thinking that for a little bit, but I mean, because Raw could definitely benefit from Bayley going over there.
I think so too, yeah. And the nice thing about Bayley on Raw, if Charlotte stays on Raw, Bayley and Charlotte typically do have good matches, and Bayley has won a lot of times against Charlotte, so it's not like she would go over there and just get buried under the whole Charlotte umbrella. So it could be good to have another strong competitor on Raw when you really only book Charlotte that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could be at least a nice balance. Not that that's what I'm looking for. I kind of feel like you were. I don't think there's ever a point where it's not believable that Bayley could take the title, and I do think that there's no reason why she couldn't take the title and Bianca still remain in the title picture and conversation. Mm-hmm. So I really don't know on this one. I do think that, I don't know, maybe we'll get some sort of bigger stipulation later. Because I wonder if Bayley loses, if then it comes back to, well, you said you'd quit. And she goes, I never said those words, Not exactly. You're twisting my words around. But I also think that if they plant that seed, that maybe that's all the more reason why they would have a Bayley win so the conversation doesn't come back. But I don't know. Jeremy says he could see Sonya using her authority to put herself in Money in the Bank. I was thinking, and we're almost there, but I was thinking, what if Sonya, next week or the week after, puts herself as the final spot in Money in the Bank, leaving Liv Morgan out of Money in the Bank, and Liv Morgan comes out again saying no, and it actually ends up with a match against Sonya Deville. Winner ends up in the match, and then that's how Liv gets in the match. So Sonya places herself in there. They think she's returning to the ring, but then she, has one match, loses, and then she's back out.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. I think even if she just puts herself in and that's it might be kind of cool.
I mean, it would be a shitty thing. People would boo.
Yeah.
Just time she goes, I honestly just want to see Bailey have another title run. You're never against a Bailey title run. She's my Stone Cold right now. You know? Anytime she comes through with something, it's like, yeah, go ahead. You know?
Do it. Yeah.
But I guess we'll see how that goes. Coming up after that, speaking of Stone Cold, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a last man standing match for the Money in the Bank qualifying match.
Pretty damn good.
This was fucking so good, man.
Yeah. I mean, whenever those two go at it, you know it's going to be awesome. So then you had the last man standing stipulation. Just pure gold.
Every time I started to think it was going to go like too far and bring me out of it, it didn't. You know what I mean? Because there was like when Kevin goes through those two tables and he like barely makes it up, I was like, come on, that should have been it. There's two fucking tables. The guy should be dead.
Yeah.
But then everything that happened after that, like, had me still in it for sure. I was like, you know what I mean? But every time, dude, I thought this match was so good. I thought Charles Robinson did an awesome job in this one. The way he was checking on people, the way he was counting, the way Robinson stayed in the ring for almost all of it. There was only a couple times he left the ring at all. I loved it. I thought that was so cool because a lot of the refs, especially on the indie scene or even in other companies, the second the talent leaves the ring, they also leave the ring, and I never understand why. Why they would leave the ring and stay out of the ring. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can see everything from the ring.
Yeah.
You don't need to be, right next to them, especially in the last man standing where all you have to do is see them get up.
Yeah. Yeah, the only time Robinson got out was to check on some people through some bumps. He ran right back into the ring to go ahead and start counting. And then I think when Kevin went through the two tables, he counted right there next to the tables because he couldn't maybe see Kevin through the rubble. And then at the very end, where Kevin and Sammy were kind of both rolling around towards the edge, Robinson came out then too. But for the most part, he stayed in. Kira says, if that's how it's going to go, can they stop advertising that if she wins that she's in because 2 weeks in a row that's been the stipulation? I haven't noticed one time they've made the stipulation that if Liv Morgan wins that she's in the match. She just keeps saying she wants to get in the match, and Sonya says, well, let's see how you do against this person, and makes a match. It's basically Liv against the Authority right now. Yeah, prove to me you deserve to be in the match, not that you will earn the match. Which is, I don't know, classic Authority versus babyface stuff, which is like, I keep getting screwed. I mean, it's definitely building people wanting to live in the match. Everyone's saying she deserves to be in there. It feels like it's working. We're almost there.
See, I think if she gets in the match, she wins it. As much as they've been pushing her like this.
Yes, I think that's exactly what it is that they keep... Well, we'll get there in just a second. Anything else you want to say about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens?
Well, sorry, we've been going back and forth. I didn't know if we've actually covered the women's thing. But anyways, a couple things. I loved how Kevin Owens... Because when Sammy did that one move on the apron to KO, and then he like falls outside, I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, they should do it like a 9 count, and then the guy rolls out and he's on his feet.
Yeah.
And KO did that, like 2 minutes later, and I was like, fucking A, that was awesome.
So good.
And then the only criticism I have about this match is KO hit Sammy with the stunner.
Yeah.
And then Sammy just immediately rolls out of the ring and starts moving around and like, no, don't hit me again or something like that. And I'm like, that should have been, that's the move to put you on your ass.
Yeah.
Like, that should have been sold a little bit more, I think.
They're sold a little bit different, yeah. It was, I noticed that too with the stunner. I was all like, why isn't he like totally dead?
Yeah, like...
But at the same time, that same sort of shit happened with MVP and Kofi. We'll talk about that in a bit too. Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise, gets the 3 count, and immediately on the 3 count, MVP kicks out right afterwards to do that whole like, all it does is shit on. I mean, whatever. We'll get to there. But yeah, I thought the stunner would like knock him out and do something with it. But Just in time to say, I almost thought the Table Tower was going to be a repeat ending of the Intercontinental Championship Last Man Standing match at Royal Rumble with Dean Ambrose. Yeah, I thought it was going to be it. Although Sami Zayn did not have a hole up his pants, having his taint fall out like AJ had in that match. It's a classic moment. The old AJ Styles hole. I loved the back and forth, the talking that Sammy and Kevin Owens were doing in this one. I like when Sammy is looking at Kevin Owens and goes, how did we get here, man? How do we even get here? So good. These guys are just so fucking good together. It's insane. And I honestly thought, especially with how Kevin Owens had his arm taped up, especially with how he was, it looked like he had hurt his arm in the match 2 weeks prior. I really thought this match was Kevin Owens coming back to put over Sammy, to get Sammy in a ladder match, and for Kevin Owens to take some time off for his shoulder. I thought his shoulder injury was significant. But I got worked the whole time, and I love it. I love getting worked.
Well, see, I stay away from the dirt sheets and stuff like that, and they, I saw one, and they said that, after that match where KO hurt his arm and stuff like that, they said, oh, Kevin Owens steps away, from wrestling, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, damn, I didn't read into it. And then the next week he's on TV, and I was like, yeah, I hate dirt sheets.
Dude, you know what they were reporting?
What's that?
A tweet. That's what I mean,
Oh,
dude.
really?
All they're doing is reading tweets and reading into them. It's so easy to work them nowadays. Kevin Owens just put out a tweet saying, I tried my hardest. I'll be back soon, but I'm going to have to take a break. And he was gone for 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's all like reporting it. It's like, oh, he steps away for a while. And you're like, great. You guys have the same Twitter I have. I'm just throwing a little salt on the wound there. But, yeah. Yeah, and so I thought this was Kevin Owens going to put him over. Sammy was going to end up in a ladder match, and that Kevin Owens was going to take time off after a last man standing match. I was like, oh, how good is that? Because you make it look so brutal. Of course, he would need time off. In this regard, Sammy got the shit kicked out of him, and is not in the match. Kevin Owens is, so Kevin Owens must be fine. So, but I thought it was awesome, dude. I thought it was awesome. Let's see. Somewhere in here, we had a couple backstage segments with Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman about how Roman's not there and about how Jimmy needs to get Edge in check and all that. Dude, I think Jimmy just can't miss on these things. That's what makes this whole thing going on with him even more sad, is that he's so good in all these segments. He's like, he was talking instead of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was just making facial expressions, and that was it.
Yeah, and I loved it. That was so great. Jimmy's like, oh, should I do this? Should I do this? And he was just talking the whole time, and Paul was just sitting there, like, not saying yes, but, like you said, the expression on his face, he's like, yeah, you should do it.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, go ahead. So, I don't know. I just thought it was good. As we move along, we'll get to what we've been getting to anyways. Zelina Vega comes out, or not, Sonya comes out, announces that she's got a new person to be entered in Money in the Bank, and announces the return of Zelina Vega. I thought this was awesome. I love it. The dirt sheets were nowhere near this one. No one saw it coming. No one reported it. No one had any idea. And the Twitter sphere went berserk, talking about how disappointed they are in Zelina, how this is terrible, how she's a sellout. Dude, it's real fucking... Go ahead, say what you want to say.
I was going to say, I just hate when people sit there and say, oh, they're a sellout. They're a sellout. Fuck you. My bills need to be paid. This company's going to pay me a lot of money.
First off. Second off, how do you know AEW didn't offer her more money?
Yeah.
Realistically, if you're saying she's a sellout, then you're assuming that WWE offered her more money than anywhere else. Maybe they didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. None of us know. You know what I mean? People are just making these vast assumptions off of contract negotiations, and I don't understand contracts to begin with. There was someone I saw even posted, they said, I'll say this much, money talks real loud, that's for sure. Are you sure? Were you in those fucking phone calls? Did Zelina tell you what the reasoning was behind any of this? I've been seeing a bunch of reports back and forth on how long ago Zelina was actually signed, how long ago they got into contact with her, about whether or not it was recent or not, and it's all this back and forth. No one knows. And that's my favorite part, is no one knows because Zelina's not telling people, and neither is the now Tommy End, husband of Zelina. And that's the way it should be. Everyone needs to calm down about that other side of things. But Kuro says we get to call Zelina a sellout, but not Samoa Joe for doing the almost same thing. Nope. For one, yeah. But for two, I did see some people being like, oh, it sucks that Samoa Joe went back. But the thing is if you're going to have outrage and you're going to tweet in all caps and say, this is why you hate Vince McMahon every time they release someone, then where's that same fucking energy when they hire them back? Where's the all caps
appreciation?
Tweets? Yeah. Where's the thank you, Vince McMahon, for bringing back Zelina? Thank you for hiring back Samoa Joe. Way to go, Vince, for making a good decision here and bringing back a talent that we didn't understand why they left. I'm not saying that that's the mentality people need to have or that I have that mentality, but I'm saying if your energy is that if he fires someone, he's evil, then what does he get for hiring someone?
Yeah. Well, they're still mad at him because then Zelina can't go to AEW.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what it is. It's like, are you really supporting the wrestlers? Because when you're trying to yell at them for releasing wrestlers and talent, saying this is what's wrong with them, I even see in one of the group chats I'm in, there's a person who every time there's a release will put a message in there, all caps, this is why I hate Vince. I'm so glad I don't give that company a single fucking cent. I can't believe he would let go of talent that's this good. All I want is for the wrestlers to be working, and this is bullshit. When Zelina came back, not only was there no message from him, there was one message from someone else who just said, Zelina's back in WWE, period, and no one responded to it. And I was like, real weird that you guys aren't as passionate about people being hired back. Yeah. Or why they might want to go back. Maybe she made a decision based off what she feels is best for her and all the information ahead of her. Maybe for her, going to AEW was a bad thing. Not for everyone, but maybe for her. Why can't you respect the talent enough to make decisions for their own lives?
Yeah. Well, and then, the other thing that gets me is like that guy that you mentioned, that, oh, this is why I hate Vince, this and that I'm not giving them a single company or a single cent, blah, blah, blah. How would they know? They sit there and say, oh, this talent's so good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have to be watching WWE.
Yeah, to know that.
And so, yeah. And don't get me wrong, a lot of these people are on the indies and stuff like that, but I just hate people that sit there, oh, this is why I don't give that company a single cent. Okay, you might not buy anything from the company, but you tune in and you watch. Yep, that's giving them money.
Every time you view something on YouTube, they're getting a little dollar sign on their side.
Yeah.
So that's true too. And as much as like, so here's the mentality I would understand, because this is kind of where I live in. When Miro leaves, when Rusev gets released, I go, that sucks. I really liked Rusev.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he does well. I appreciate, him as a talent. But it's not like, well, I hate the company because now they're not using Rusev. It's like, okay, well, I guess Rusev's gone. That sucks. I like him a lot. I like to see him on TV. If he comes back, I'll be excited. Mm-hmm. When he shows up at AEW, I don't think, oh my God, what a horrible thing. I go, oh, he seems to think that AEW is going to be a good place for him. I'm excited for him. A little bummed out because I don't watch the show, so I won't be seeing him much, but I'll check out clips when I get the chance. You know what I mean? I get personally bummed because it's a product I don't watch, but I get also excited for the performer to have an opportunity that they believe to be the best for them, and that's absolutely the only person who can make that decision.
Yeah, but not only that, like, just as a person, like, cool, he's working again. He's getting a paycheck again. Yeah. Like, good for him. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, I don't know. People piss me off. I hate people.
It's literally what we said about Sting. When he shows up in AEW, all we really said was like, well, that's dope. Sting's getting a paycheck. I don't know what else to think about it. We'll see how it plays out. You know? Why are you guys not excited Zelina's getting a paycheck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Let's see, in the chat, a little bit's happening. Justin Time says Zelina more than likely would have ended up with Andrade again if she went to AEW, which I think also to me was a funny bit. Because last week, Andrade tweeted out that he was going to be making a major announcement on AEW and no one's going to want to miss it. And I saw a bunch of people retweeting it and saying, looks like somebody's 90 days is up. Oh, I think we all know who this one's going to be. Looks like he's getting a new mouthpiece. A lot of people being like, I can't wait to see Zelina over here. Or Thea. And then when he goes out there, he said his big announcement was, I'm going to have a match next week. I was like...
Nailed it. And sometimes
I think that... I don't think he's the only one, but I do think that there's people who try to build up excitement and shoot themselves in the foot because it's not what people were fantasy booking, to be honest. But then 2 days later, she shows up on Smackdown because everyone's like, oh, I guess not this week. Maybe next week Zelina will come out. It'll surprise everyone. And then she shows up on Smackdown and people are like, fuck! Kiro does say... Oh, and then Justin also says, I'm pretty sure Zelina wants to be known for more than just Andrade's mouthpiece. And 100% that's the impression I actually got here in this specific segment. Before we talk about the segment in its entirety, though, Kira says, let's burst the bubble because it's fun. WWE is a publicly traded company. By law, hirings and firings must be public. Let's do a faux pas and compare that to a privately traded AEW who doesn't have to announce who has and hasn't been fired or actually even hired fully. That's true, too. WWE, on their books, it's got to be announced for their shareholders and stuff, where AEW can keep all that stuff secret and has released plenty of people, but don't have to tell anybody they're releasing anybody because they're not publicly traded, and therefore Tony just does everything right, I guess. So... oh my god. I've got Raw playing on the background so I don't forget stuff, and I can't stand Drew, dude. But the segment itself, Zelina comes out, cuts a tremendous promo. Liv Morgan comes out. I even like that she cuts her own music because she's like, no. Like, she's tired of it. The back and forth between Liv and Zelina, I feel like that was the best Liv we've ever seen on the mic. She even cut a video in the back for the internet exclusive stuff. Also phenomenal. We're seeing a different side of Liv right now, which is one of those like silver linings things. As sad as it is to see Ruby go and when Sarah Logan went, I do think them not being around has brought out the absolute best in Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, and it might have lit a fire under her ass. Obviously Sarah leaving and Ruby leaving, it's like, oh fuck, everyone I came up with is gone. Yep. Like I need to either shit or get off the pot at this point, and
I know.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, it's probably motivated her to, all right, I want to stay here. I want to do this. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to, do everything I'm supposed to.
And I'm not saying by any means that I think that Ruby or Sarah Logan were in any way a hindrance or a weight or intentionally bringing Liv down at all. I think they were all just so good together that they all became very comfortable with each other. And I think that there's, like it or not, whether you want to or not, there is a certain level of complacency that comes up when you're really comfortable and confident in what you're doing. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a possibility with Ruby being let go that, like you said, it really lit a fire under Liv's ass, like, am I next? And really made her step up her game, I think. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it came from somewhere else. Maybe it would have been the same either way. I'm not trying to celebrate anyone leaving at any point, but I do think right now we have the best Liv we've had yet. And I think this match was, to me, in my book, from my perspective, when I watch, I think this was the best match we've seen from Liv or Zelina ever. This was both of theirs best match to date. What'd you think of it?
No, same thing. Like, I thought Zelina came back, looking good. Liv, is proving herself to Sonya, and she's been looking good, the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And, cool. Let's, keep it up. You know what I mean? Like, ride this momentum and keep pushing each other.
Yeah, 100%. And I was, to be honest, I mean, we talked about it before when Zelina left, or right before she left even, that her matches were always like, okay. She was never fantastic in the ring. She was fantastic on the mic, but her matches were okay. This one I thought was great by both of them. I thought they both did an awesome job. And as I was watching, I was like, well, let's see where Zelina's at. I mean, if you watch her social media, you haven't seen a lot about wrestling one way or the other. You just kind of don't know what you're going to get. She came out and had a match, and I was like, fucking fantastic. So good.
See, and I wonder because before they would always have Zelina doing like Andrade's movesets.
Yes.
And, maybe when she's, they're just like, all right, go out there and perform. She can be comfortable and do moves that she's used to, and it looks a lot better.
That could be too. She could have been struggling with Andrade stuff. And I do think that's part of it too, with Justin saying that I'm pretty sure she wants to be seen more than just Andrade's mouthpiece. I felt like this particular segment with her on the mic and the match she had with Liv, I felt like she really stepped into her own and away from the I am a manager for Andrade that she had been fighting to get out from the entire time she was in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole last month or two she was there and she wasn't Andrade's mouthpiece. It was all like, oh, here comes Andrade's manager to have a match. Like, this really felt like she stepped out of that completely.
Yeah.
Fabtina says, I'm glad to see anywhere where the talent gets to flourish and get paid. 100%. But yeah, I love this. I'm so excited for Liv and Zelina right now. I think that as weird as it was to have Zelina lose her debut match back, I think it really works because Zelina's in the match anyway. She's going to have plenty of time. She came off as a total jerk. It was really easy to boo Zelina for this one. The stuff she was saying to Liv. I was like, fuck, bitch. Like, I was like, my God. And then, like I've been seeing online, a lot of people are up in arms, yelling and screaming, why don't they just put Liv in the match already? I'm like, oh, sounds like you're...
Yeah, you're getting worked.
Getting worked. You're taking the ride. That's a good thing. This is a positive thing. I agree with you. I think she's going to continue to win matches and not be put in the match, getting people more and more frustrated that she's not just in the match. That when she gets in the match, I think they're going to actually fill up the whole thing. That's what I was saying with Sonya. I think they're actually going to fill up the whole match roster and Liv won't be in it. You're going to see some sort of hashtag, Liv deserves better or something, start to trend.
Give Liv a chance.
Give Liv a chance. Watch Liv. Something like that, you know? And I think that there's going to be either one of those like final chance matches or someone's going to have to put up their chance to be in it and Liv's going to win that and get into the match that way and people are going to blow the lid off.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that we only have, we have two more. No, we only have one more SmackDown, right?
I think so.
Before Money in the Bank? Because it's this Sunday, right?
It's a week from Sunday. Wait, so yeah.
I thought it was a week from last Sunday, yeah.
I think you're right, yeah. So yeah, we got one more SmackDown.
That's a lot to do
on
one episode.
Or what if they fill it, she's not in it, and then there's some sort of thing that happens on the pre-show where someone can't be in it, you know?
That's what I was thinking too. Like, yeah, July 18th. So no, we have two SmackDowns, right? Yes.
Holy shit, dude, you just scared the shit out of me because I was supposed to be out of town that day. I didn't even realize. And so when you said it was this Sunday, I was like, holy shit, I'm leaving town in a couple days. Like, when you said the 18th, I was like, oh my God, like, I got to get shit together. Fucking spooked me. Let's see, Justin Time does say she may have lost her return match, but it was all to benefit what they're doing with Liv. And I think that even makes it that much more stronger what they're doing with Liv. The fact that Liv beat someone in their debut, that goes against what we expect, right? Well, I guess this is where Liv's steam ends, right? Zelina's making her debut. You got to make someone look strong in their debut. There's no way they can just give her a loss. It made Liv even more of an underdog in a situation. Liv is the ultimate women's underdog right now, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because that's working the smart fans on that one. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like about it. It's making them... I mean, we'll talk about Eva Marie, but I think they're doing a lot of really awesome work right now on working the smart fans. The people who know better are the ones who are getting to work the most right now because it's so frustrating to know better and have them use that against you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people don't like it. Well, they shouldn't have booked Zelina that way, but I'm going to accept it for right now. Get out of here.
And that's the point.
That's the point. So the point is you're talking about why they're booking and not the story. But yeah, I think Liv's an underdog because of the smart fans.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's see. Let's get ready to wrap up SmackDown. We had Otis defeating Angelo Dawkins, and then we had the Jimmy Uso thing at the end. What do you think about all the stuff that's going on with Otis, dude?
I mean, I like it. He's turning it, they're making him look like a badass. I'm not sure.
And
Gable's. Yeah. He always looks.
Yeah.
I like that he's like incorporating like Vader's moves still and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
he just, yeah. I don't want to say go full on Vader, but
yeah. It's Otis time.
right.
I do think
Comes-
that Otis in
Comes
ring
out
right
with
now
his
is so
hands
good.
in a little O.
Yeah. It's those out there.
Yeah.
I think the Otis in ring right now is so good. I think he's looking intense and like a badass. I do think him without a beard makes his face look real small, man. He's got like a meme-worthy tiny face. It's so weird. But I don't want to fuck with
You
him.
can see his-
Say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because you can see his facial expressions now,
Yeah, maybe that's it.
where he's sitting there like pissed off.
Let's see. Then at the end of the show, you had Jimmy Uso cutting a promo on Edge. Edge saying, "You don't realize that there was a trap that was set." Oh, and even Edge's backstage thing with that new interview woman back there, I thought was so good. I didn't catch her name. It was like her first or second show. Like he said it once, and it was real quick. It wasn't Mackenzie though.
Yeah.
But she's brand new, and so he does that back and forth with her, and the conversational way that he's talking is so good. But so he comes out, says there's a trap set, and he goes, "It's not for me, it's for you." And then Edge just beats the shit out of Jimmy, takes that piece of chair and pulls it back on Jimmy's face and gets that whole look going again with the eyes and stuff. And Edge screaming into the microphone, "You can't stop him," or "I can't stop," or something along those lines. Can't stop, won't stop. Get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was such an amazing, intense way to end the show, dude.
Yeah. And I thought, the whole time that was happening, especially since they, alluded to it, I was waiting for Roman to come out and stuff like that. And Roman never came out. And I'm like, whatever. But then thinking about it, I'm like, damn, it's so cool that Roman had such a presence on this show. He wasn't even on it.
Yes. Yeah. At one point, when I was kind of going over the show, I was all like, oh, yeah, Roman's so good in this. It occurred to me partway through the show. I was like, wait, Roman doesn't show up in this one.
Yeah.
Like when I was rewatching it this morning, I was like, oh, I love all the Roman stuff. And I was like, wait, there's none.
Yeah.
None Roman.
The Roman stuff was there without Roman.
Yeah. So.
But
Anything else about SmackDown you want to throw out there?
no.
I
Great
love
show,
Zelina
as
being
usual.
back. I think it's so good.
No, I like it. Like, it's like cool. I always like to see, like we said, people, I don't like to see them leave, but when they come back, it's like, cool, you're getting another shot, another opportunity,
Yeah.
do it.
I saw someone tweet out too, goes, I really getting the impression that a Raw title reign might have been promised to somebody to get them to re-sign, or like a SmackDown title reign might have been promised to somebody. And I was like, I don't think for a second that anybody on either side of that contract is going, okay, but how many titles am I going to win?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's so much more to it. But what the hell do I know? I don't read contracts. I don't know anything about them. I don't understand.
Nope, just sign them. We don't read them, just sign them.
Just sign it. It doesn't matter. That's why I have iTunes. I just signed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree to all terms and conditions, WWE. But, all right, man. Well, we want to talk about Raw?
No.
Here's the weird bit, dude. You haven't been on in a few weeks. And the last several weeks of Raw has been pretty fucking solid, man. Like, good shows. And then this week happened. And I was like, man, Kev's coming back for this one?
Yeah. Maybe we should just stay off. Raw would be solid.
Yeah, the whole time you were gone, Raw was good.
Yeah.
This felt an awful lot like they're throwing shit together for no reason. Sort of like Justin said before, it seemed like universe mode just gone amok. I mean, I'm just looking at the list of the stuff that happened and like...
Yeah, just you're in a tag team, you're in a tag team. Or
There's
the
only
8-woman
one
tag
match that
match.
made sense to even happen. So, I guess we'll just go through it. But I mean, it was like weird, man. You've been caught up on the other shows, though, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree the last several weeks of Raw were pretty solid?
Yeah, they've been better shows than they've put out recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, to see this, I was like, I'm like you said, it felt like a standstill. It was like, all right, all the storylines are moving, everything's looking good. All right, now just pause it. And everyone's in a tag match pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Bunch of weird-ass tag matches. Let's see. 2 stories, I think, moved at all. Let's see. So it opened up with The Miz doing Money in the Bank edition of Miz TV. I just really couldn't stand Drew McIntyre in this. I couldn't stand Miz or Morrison. You know what sucks, dude? Is as much as it always is terrible when someone gets injured and has to take time off, I did think Miz getting... Yeah. I did think that when Miz got injured, I was thinking this could be the best time for this to happen. If there's a good time to get injured, this is it. Because I felt like Miz and Morrison has gotten stale and weird. It's really destroyed the Morrison momentum that he had coming into the company. This will be a good time for Miz to go away, give us a chance to miss him, and then when he comes back, we're like, oh shit, here we go. And he just hasn't left. And I feel like it's dragging down Morrison more than ever. I feel like he's worse than ever. Miz being he's less funny than he's ever been. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like, what is it going to take to get you just fucking step away for a few months? You know?
Yeah, no, like, and I think we even said it when he got hurt. I don't know if it was on the show or we were just talking then, like, sucks that Miz got hurt, but Morrison could benefit from this, and Miz is the only person in the history of WWE to get hurt, still be around.
Yeah, not only still around, but still actively involved while matches are happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many times have they had people who are injured who are just not allowed to get physical at all? Nowhere near.
Oh, yeah.
They'll come out and cut a promo by themselves or with a backstage interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. He's still ringside for all these matches.
Yeah.
I can't fucking stand it.
Well, see, then, I just don't know if the injury's kayfabe. Because I know they said he was injured, this and that. But, like, the whole spot with Ricochet this week, where he rolls off the Miz's back, like, if they mess that up, and because it was his ACL, right? That the Miz allegedly hurt.
Yeah.
Like, if Ricochet lands on his leg, like, he can fuck him up even worse.
Yeah, but it's Ricochet, man. That guy can't fuck up.
I agree with that statement, but at the same time, it can happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could happen, but if it's not going to happen, Ricochet's going to be the one to not happen to.
Yeah.
He's the most precise. If Ricochet was all like, hey, put a peanut on the end of your nose, I'm going to kick it right off your face. You'll never know what happened. I'd be like, shit, guys, watch this. It's going to be dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Justin Time says he looked it up, the name of the backstage interview who Edge was talking to on SmackDown. Her name is Megan Morant. She did a fantastic job. Didn't know her name. Yo, this segment, all the stuff with Drew was awful. I really
always
liked
awful.
Ricochet, and it's just bad, dude.
Dude, in every segment that McIntyre's in, it turns into story time. Both of them.
I cannot, for the fucking life of me, figure out where they're going with story time, the benefit of it, what the fucking plan is with it. Like, he comes off like a fucking dick. If story time is how he's going to turn heel, I mean, I guess that would make some sense, but at this point, like, I just don't get it. His stories are stupid. They're not funny. It sounds like he's being patronizing. He's telling jokes to children, it seems like.
Even, like, the ones this week
delusional.
The ones this week I think were worse than ever.
Yes.
Oh, I'm a descendant of Davy Crockett. You know, we both don't give up. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, dude.
No one
so
for 1
bad.
second thinks that you're related to Davy Crockett.
You know what it reminds me of? You know how comedies in America will start out like with a couple scripted seasons, and then you start watching how it just isn't funny anymore, and it's getting cartoonish, and everyone's a caricature of themselves, and then you start hearing about how everyone's just improvising now, and everyone just thinks they're so fucking funny. And that's what I'm getting with Drew. I feel like Drew worked on the storytime things at first. Now he thinks he's so fucking good at this, and he thinks he's so funny that he's just telling awful stories that he's very confident in. He speaks confidently. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But it's just
He does.
fucking awful. Dude, Ricochet in this segment I thought was awesome. I thought Matt Riddle was awesome in this segment with the Miz TV. And the best thing about Drew here is he for once did not interrupt a bunch of people and let them just fucking talk.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I don't have as much Prepper 12 as I thought I had. I'm gonna have to wrap this show up early.
Yeah. Hurry up.
Yeah, I don't. My favorite part of it was that Drew kept quiet for most of it. But I thought,
And you know what's sad is that we have to point that out, that this is a highlight. That Drew shut the fuck up and let somebody else talk for once.
yeah. But that's like his thing. He interrupts everybody all the time. I can't fucking. So there was that, and then it moved into John Morrison versus Ricochet. This match was one of the matches that makes sense because it's led into next week. So this one is also one that ended by countout. Ricochet got counted out. Miz was blocking Ricochet from getting back in using his wheelchair. I mean, it was an okay spot. The ref looks kind of dumb, but I guess Miz is making it look like he's trying to get out of the way. I mean, it was okay in that regard. But what it does do that's exciting to me is that we have Ricochet versus John Morrison next week in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And to me, that's what 3 matches do, is they build up to a stipulation that's going to be notable or interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people are like, we've already seen this match. And, count out? Oh, another count out? Yeah, because maybe we're going somewhere with this. Because if they started with a last man or with a Falls Count Anywhere match, we'd be like, why the fuck are we having a Falls Count Anywhere match? It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, and this is the next week's Raw is the last one in the Thunderdome, right?
Yes.
So it makes sense to have a last man or a Falls Count Anywhere in the Thunderdome again without the fans, and they have free reign.
Yeah, you can do some crazy shit.
I was even wondering about that. Is are they going to have some kind of I don't want to say exploding ring. We've seen that fail, but like something that like destroys the Thunderdome.
Yeah,
and I don't know
At
if
least a
Morrison
chunk of
and
it.
Ricochet's. Yeah, I don't know if Morrison and Ricochet's gonna be the one, but like I was trying to think like. Something to happen to end the Thunderdome with a bang.
Yeah. Take cover. I think it's possible too, but I am excited about the idea of a Falls Count Anywhere match with Ricochet and John Morrison. I hope that Miz is not involved at all. I hope that something happens this next week where it's like Miz can't be around, so it can just be an actual cool match that just goes all over the fucking place.
Well, his dog died, so maybe he has to stay home.
Miz's dog died?
Yeah.
Maybe he'll finally take some fucking time off, man. What is it going to take?
Yeah. Send the Fiend in to kidnap one of his daughters and get him away from the road. I mean, the ring.
The ring, yeah. Let me see.
The one thing I will say positive about The Miz, like he's pretty accurate with that fucking dipstick or dripstick.
Yeah, he's on point with it for sure.
I was like, how much did he have to practice with that? Like, I could just see Vince having this conversation with Miz in the back, like, no, I need you to really practice with these. Like, you need to be on, you need to hit the target. I could just see Miz with solo cups in the back, just, all right, practicing.
Really, I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was the kind of thing where Miz would just be squirting his family at his house all the time, and he would try to convince.
That's how the dog died. Fucking waterlogged him.
Waterlogged. That he would have told Vince he wants to use it, and Vince would make some sort of comment about how he can't miss, and then Miz would have like turned around and shot somebody from like 50 yards away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that would have went. Let's see. Well, at this point, Jinder Mahal shows up on a motorcycle, says that Drew McIntyre is a little bitch, and how he doesn't call no more, and how they used to be cuddle buddies. Now they don't even like thumb each other. And he says he's gonna beat the shit out of Drew, and I was like, go ahead, beat the shit out of Drew. Here's the deal.
Jinder.
Yeah. The Maharaja. Shanti. I like that when he pulled up, his buddies Shanky and Veer were just hanging out waiting for him. Like they get there early and be like, well, I don't know what to do. Just staying here until he gets here, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, so they mentioned that he's got Drew and Jinder have a match. And a year ago, I'd have been like, oh, this is fucking crazy cool. But at this point, I'm so over Drew that I just didn't care it was going to happen, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, in recent WWE history, these are the two worst champions going out.
I don't know if I'd say Jinder was the worst champion.
Yeah, well, his title reign was terrible because it was so transparent what WWE was doing.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah.
But with him going up against Drew, I never thought I'd say that I missed Jinder.
Yeah. I was so excited for Jinder here, dude. I was cheering for Jinder so hard.
Yeah.
I wanted this match when Drew attacked Heath Slater for no fucking reason.
Yeah, 100%.
This is the match I wanted after that.
Yeah.
But now we're here where no one's got a title, and it's just Drew, who I just have no interest in, against Jinder, who I just haven't seen in a long time. So,
Well, Jinder was hurt during that, wasn't he?
I think once or twice he got hurt in there, yeah. I don't know, man. Well, let's see. After that, we had, because we'll get to the match here in a bit, but after that, we had a backstage segment with Shayna and Nia and Reginald and Alexa Bliss being creepy in the back, which I was okay with. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Which led into Kofi and MVP going back and forth. Or no, it was a recap of Kofi and MVP going back and forth, which I loved their back and forth last week.
Yeah.
And then there was a backstage segment with Nikki Cross, who's going by Nikki Ash now, almost a superhero. Back there with Asuka and Naomi. One of the things I took away from this was how good Naomi was doing, or not Naomi, how good Nikki was doing, while Naomi and Asuka were more or less just kind of quiet. Like, Nikki didn't need them to help carry this at all. They were just a part of it, and I thought that was so dope.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the superhero Nikki Cross?
Um, it's tough because when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, great! WWE gave another good talent a shitty gimmick."
Mhm.
And then, you know, and obviously we don't know if they gave it to her, but then, I saw some things that said Nikki has been wanting this. This is something Nikki, is 100% behind. I was like, cool, let's see where it goes. And it's turning out like pretty good so far.
It's pretty solid.
Because we've even said Nikki before was just always, Alexa's sidekick, and she was kind of aimless.
Yeah.
She didn't feel like she had a real spot, and now that she's almost a superhero, she has a spot.
Yeah. She's got something to
I
latch
like it.
onto there. She said in an interview recently, this is something she's been trying to pitch to them for 6 months.
Mm.
For 6 months, she's been telling them she wants to do a superhero gimmick, and they've been saying no. She ended up getting an artist online to draw up like a mock thing to what it might look like, and she's been just really pushing it. So, I mean, to be honest, when I first saw it, I didn't think it was a shitty gimmick. I didn't know if it would be good or not, but I just thought, well, it gives her something an identity to latch onto because she's been characterless ever since she got to the main roster. She got there once, did Crazy Nikki with Becky once, and then immediately got latched on to Alexa Bliss and just became Alexa Bliss's sidekick, like you said. She became just a quiet voice in the back. She just became this hyperactive, over-caffeinated Alexa friend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when she would come out, they go, here comes Alexa Bliss with her best friend, Nikki. And you're like, what the fuck is that? So she was so second fiddle, it was crazy. So the idea that even when I first saw it, I went, okay, it's something.
Yeah.
Because without Alexa, she was just Nikki's friend without Alexa, and it didn't make sense. So it's something, like you said, the fact that she's been behind it for 6 months makes me think that there's a lot of ideas here that we'll see play out, and that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm loving it so far, man. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the reason I said a shitty gimmick because a lot of times you see a gimmick out there, and it's just like, wow, people like the talent just is forced to do this.
Yeah, it has to figure it out.
But when you realize that the talent wanted this, it's like, all right, cool, like more power to you now.
Yeah. The thing is this, is like, because I've had this conversation, I don't think I've had it with you yet, but there's a lot of shitty gimmicks that were very successful. Mankind is a shitty gimmick on paper. Goldust is a shitty gimmick on paper. Undertaker is a shitty gimmick on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But they work because the performer behind it latches onto something there and begins to run with it. Once they're going with it, they start making those twists and turns that really give that character a level of depth that creative did not have for them beforehand, for sure. Mm-hmm. There is no doubt that when they created The Undertaker, they did not see 40 years out. You know what I mean? There's no doubt when they came up with Goldust that they saw a whole Tourette's gimmick down the line and a teaming with R-Truth as a possibility. None of that stuff was in their minds. It was very surface level stuff. But the performers latched onto something and started trying things and taking twists, and they took it on as their own. I think what sets the performers apart from the creative is their ability to do that. And the exciting thing about knowing an idea came from the performer just lets you know that they've already latched into it. That's the only benefit to me as far as like
they're gonna
gimmick or bad gimmick.
Yeah, well, they're gonna give it their all because hey, this is my brainchild. This is what I wanted. I mean, like when I saw Nikki's, butterfly costume, the first person I thought of was like Max Moon.
Oh yeah,
and that's what when I refer to shitty gimmicks. Not so much the shitty gimmicks that succeeded, the shitty gimmicks that failed horribly.
Well, I thought of Hurricane Helms and Mighty Molly right away.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm not going to pretend that I'm smart because I'm not. I didn't like Hurricane Helms when it was happening. In hindsight, I
Yeah.
watch clips of it and go, all right, it was pretty fun. But at the time, I
Yeah.
didn't like it at all. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to be one of those like, well, I've always liked the good things and never liked the bad things. I'm the best, smartest fan ever. I'm not that type. I didn't like Shane Helms. Now I can look at him with a ton of respect and look back on it and say, wow, I was way wrong on that one.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But with that filter, seeing this, I thought, well, maybe Nikki was a big fan of those characters and sees something in it that she can also do that makes it her own. And is that the worst thing of all time? You know? So I do think that there's a benefit to knowing that the performer's invested in it.
Yeah.
But I also think that... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
What I also think that it's a sign of a bad performer who can't make a gimmick work because they just don't buy into it. Like, part of your role there as a wrestler for any company, whether you're coming up with the creative or not, is to buy into what is in front of you fully and run with it as best you can. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that even if it's your own idea, it can be a terrible idea. I think there's a lot of terrible ideas we see played out in wrestling all the time. And sometimes it comes from the performer, and sometimes it comes from a larger creative team. And I think the majority of that success comes from the willingness the performer has to buy into it, you know?
Yeah.
I think bad performers won't buy in. Just buy in. If it goes great, awesome. You'll look like a fucking star. If it goes poorly, then your dedication will pay off and maybe produce something better on the other side, you know?
Yeah, like Stardust and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
what I was gonna say, the only thing that gets me now that I find out that Nikki's been pushing it for 6 months, like, fuck, like how cool would it have been, speaking of Mighty Molly, if that was like the tie-in, because she just got inducted in the Hall of Fame, she could have just said, oh, look at, I have this or whatever like that, and it's just like a hero's mask or something. Yeah. Like Nikki's mask. And we're like, here. And then all of a sudden, Nikki just runs with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have done some cool stuff with it.
Because, I mean, it was just like one day to the next. Yeah. Like if there was like a little bit of a tie-in with, Molly Holly, like giving her the mask. And then all of a sudden, Nikki's like, I'm almost a superhero. Like, I think it would have been great.
Yeah. 100%. Let's see. So we do have a match, though. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Doudrop, and Eva Marie against Nikki Cross, Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss. This was like their entire women's roster in one match.
Yep.
This was another one where I was just like, what the fuck happened here? You just threw everyone together in this fucking jambalaya for a match, and these stories don't intertwine and don't have to intertwine either. It was a bummer, to be honest. That's the match that we got. I like Nikki Cross and her portrayal of the character. I like that Nikki's finishing maneuver at this point seems to be that complex small package roll-up, because it's not just a crucifix pin.
Yeah.
It's like a crucifix roll-up package thing. Like, there's a name for it, and I just don't know what it is, because Corey's called it a couple times, and I've thought that was dope. And the fact that that's becoming Nikki's thing also, to me, gives big call-outs to, like, Daniel Bryan. Because there was a while Daniel Bryan, especially even on the indies, I think when he was in Ring of Honor, his whole gimmick was he says he has the best small package in the business, and he would beat everyone with the small package. Which is hysterical. So, Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax have a thing going on in here. Eva Marie and Doudrop's got a thing going on here. Nia Shayna have a thing going back and forth. Reginald's involved in this. To me, it was hard to keep track of what was going on. Like, there was a lot happening, but at the same time without much happening.
Yeah, this was literally like WWE's women's jambalaya, where they just threw everything together, mixed it all up, and said, here, this is what we got for you.
Yeah. I don't know what it did for any singular person, although, to be honest, I feel like Eva Marie's getting better and better at getting over and getting heat. The fact that at the end of the match, Nia Jax gets the win on Nikki, which builds some sympathy for Nikki because she just got crushed by Nia. Then Eva Marie grabs the mic and says, "Your winner, Eva Marie."
Yeah.
Fucking all the other heels are looking at her like she's a bitch. And Dewdrop's behind her, like shaking her head and like looking over at the people in the ring, being like, "Just drop it, forget, it's not worth it. Just trust me on this one." It's it's so fucking funny, dude. What do you think of all the Eva Marie Dewdrop stuff? Go ahead.
Like, I don't like it. I know I'm getting worked. I mentioned it before when it first came out. Like, it's. I don't know. They just kept showing Eva Marie like, "Oh, I worked so hard. I get another opportunity," and then it's this shit. And it's I know that's exactly what they want, and like I said, I know I'm getting worked. But to me, I think Piper is the one looking the best out of this.
That's by design, I'm sure of it.
Yeah. The only thing is I don't like Piper's ring gear. Because she's like one squiggly line away from looking like Earthquake. And then her and Nia doing that thing was natural disaster risk.
That's a good point. That is a good point. She looks a lot like Earthquake. Her gear, I mean.
Her gear, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. But I think that that's also part of the design. That's what I'm liking so much about the Eva Marie stuff, is because I feel like it's working the smart fans. For all of us who are like, no, I can't believe they're bringing in Eva Marie as a baby face, and she's trying to overshadow Piper, and the Piper deserves better than this. That's literally the whole story.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing. So the idea that you watch it and go, Eva Marie is just as annoying and awful as I thought she would be, and Piper Niven's the real star here. She just needs a chance to break away. Job well done. Job well done, writers.
Yeah.
It's exactly the whole point of it. I'm excited to see what happens on the other side, because clearly Piper Niven's going to break away, be a huge star. Clearly we're going to have Eva Marie versus Piper at some point. 5-star match, no doubt. I'm really curious, what do they do for Eva on the next one? Because Eva Marie seems like a fucking launching pad for baby faces, because anyone around her immediately is getting cheered, and she's getting booed out of the building. I think it's fucking delightful.
Well, and the thing is that if she, it would be interesting if she did work on her, technical abilities, and she's, a great performer now, because then she could just let her natural abilities, or not natural abilities, but her, talent shine after this. The only thing I'm not liking with it as well is like Carmella is doing the same exact thing on SmackDown, pretty much.
It's really similar. That's why I think there's a possibility we end up with some sort of shakeup and Eva Marie and Carmella link up.
Yeah, I mean, but man, the shakeup needed to happen. Like,
it's overdue. It's super overdue. I don't know why they haven't. I'm wondering if they're just waiting for crowds to get some reactions to see where people are landing, so that way they know who they really have, babyface and heel wise.
And they, that might be a thing, because if you have Stephanie, who's done the last couple drafts and shakeups, whatever, just going out there in front of TV screens, you're not getting the genuine reaction.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I think there's a lot of holding pattern stuff here, and I think this was no exception, because not a lot's happening right now. We're just kind of being like, don't forget, this is a good person, this is a bad person. Just time to say Carmella has one thing over Eva, and that is the fact that she can actually wrestle. 2 things. Yes, most likely that's true. But I also don't think we've seen even partially what Eva Marie can actually do, because she keeps fucking with everybody and like tagging in and out. She does seem a little clunky in there still, to be honest. I'm not going to deny that. But I also think that there's no mistake on why that she's in the ring almost not at all. And I think we just don't know what she actually has to offer. I think that it 100% is just to push the narrative that she is a terrible, terrible wrestler by saying she's not wrestling. She might be decent. I don't think she's Daniel Bryan, but she might be all right. We just don't know. But I do think that, Carmella's fucking fantastic. Producer was saying she thought that what might be next is the return of the Bellas, and that she would see like a faction with the Bellas, Eva Marie, and potentially Carmella. And I could see that being a faction getting some real heat.
Ugh.
I mean, you already booed it.
Yeah, well, I don't know how I feel about it. Like,
I'm not excited about the Bellas back either way. But if you're looking for a lot of heat, that grouping will definitely get it.
Well, 100%. And then you only have one member that can actually perform in there.
Nikki Bella always did well. It was Brie who had an issue, but by the end of it,
But I thought the last couple Nikki spots weren't very good either.
No, because like Nikki's last one, I believe, was against Ronda, and it was at the time Ronda's best match. Ronda was always best match every match. Every match was her best match as she kept going, which was nice. But Nikki and Ronda worked really well together, and I thought that the Nikki matches we saw at the end were fantastic. It was the Brie matches that got so bad that they just started putting her ringside.
Well, maybe that's what I'm thinking, because Brie was in mainly tags with Nikki, right?
Yeah. Brie ended up in tags and just as a valet by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. And they've talked about wanting to make a return. I'm not saying I want them to come back, but I'm saying if they came back, pairing them with Eva Marie would definitely get a reaction.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Moving along. Mustafa Ali against Mansoor. This was the only other match I saw on the card that made it feel like there was a story moving forward. Right?
Yeah.
Because we've been seeing them interact backstage here and there. They finally had a match. Mansoor helps Mustafa Ali get out from being tangled up in the ropes, and then Ali snatches up a victory. And then's like, I told you, you dumb bitch. I fucking done told you, you son of a bitch. I feel like is what he said.
Yep.
It's hard for me to remember all the words. But it was a good match. It was solid. And I think Mansoor working with Mustafa Ali after working with Sheamus is a good sign. I mean, who's better than Ali? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard pressed to say that anybody's going to be a better wrestler or trainer for anybody coming through. So it's like, I was all for it in that regard. But it was also kind of like, I don't know, just seemed like a match on the card, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, I like that they're showing Mansoor, especially because, like, not a lot of times do we see somebody, like, get their break.
Yeah.
And he literally, almost like, what is his name? Santino. Where it's like, oh, this guy came from the crowd, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
more or less, yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. So it's cool to see him like actually on the main roster, getting a little bit of a push. And yeah, him and Ali, like, it's funny, like, Ali's almost like, hey, I'll take you under my wing thing, but then like shits on him at the same time.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
And Ali's been tremendous on the mic. And I think that Mansoor's actually been doing really good and seeming natural back there, too, which is a surprise. I wouldn't have expected that from someone so new,
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm
Did you see
really
that?
The story. Go ahead.
That stuff that Mansoor did, where he was on some, WWE program. It was like a panel. I can't remember even who's on it, but he went on there like weekly. And he was like, no one knew who he was, and they were just supposed to guess. And he did like impersonations. Like, I think he did like Macho Man and, a couple other different legends. And they finally revealed that it was Mansoor.
I didn't see it. It sounds awesome.
It was pretty good. Like, I only saw a couple of the clips, and it was one of those where I want to see more of this. Like, the whole build up and the whole thing, and it's just forgotten too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to track it down. But I liked it. I like the match. I like the back and forth with them. I'm really enjoying their story. It does feel a little bit almost like I'm happy it's on Raw, but it felt like it could have been on main event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was a couple things here this week that felt like it could have been on main event. And I don't know why. And I feel like part of it's most of these could have been.
Yeah, most of these felt like it should have been just a main event thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's not to say I'm not happy it's not on Raw. Like, I do think having Mansoor and Ali in a program on national TV is good. But with what was going on all around it, it felt a little out of place, a little like shoehorned, which was just kind of weird. But again, they did fantastic, and it was actually one of the highlights of Raw to me was their story. So maybe that's why. Maybe they knew how good it was. Let's see. After that, we had the second story time with Drew McIntyre, where he said he was basically Davy Crockett, or that his sword. Which oh my fucking god, this one pissed me off so bad, dude. Fuck off.
This one had to be the worst one yet.
This one was so fucking aggravating because he goes, well, everyone knows where my sword came from. Yes, we do.
Vince. Yeah, exactly.
Vince, you fucking told us when you came out with it that Vince handed you a sword and said, go out there, pal. Borrow my sword from fucking Triple H. Yes, we know exactly where it came from because you fucking told us. And then he goes, it's an heirloom. And you're like, no, you fucking ruined that. The day you went on a podcast and put it out everywhere that it wasn't a fucking heirloom. You don't just get to fall back on it. Fall back and forth. Dude, here's the other thing.
It's an heirloom. It's just not Drew's family heirloom.
No, I don't think it is. I think it was made in like 2010.
Well, I'm just saying it was handed.
They got from a gift shop.
Exactly, but it was handed from Triple H to Vince.
I guess it did come through the family.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw someone else online a while back shitting on the idea of people saying stop calling it a sword. It's a claymore and there's a big difference. And put up the definition of sword and the definition of claymore and how it has to be wielded by two hands. It's not a one-handed thing. And there's like all these stipulations and stuff of what makes a claymore versus a sword and why is a claymore not a sword. I was like, this is very interesting. Although it's Drew's fucking sword. He fucking called it a sword 1,000 times in this. He never called it a claymore, but like once. And I was like, the fact that you don't know that there's a difference. It's fine if I don't know. I'm not walking around wielding someone else's sword in my hands. I'm not gripping Vince's sword and swinging it around.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't know there was a difference enough to say maybe I shouldn't call it a sword over and over again. Maybe I should make sure I refer to it as a claymore because there's a difference. He doesn't know there's a difference.
Well, see, and truthfully, I never knew that there was a difference. I thought it was just kind of like a,
variation.
Well, what region it's from. Like katanas and stuff like that, and
Well, yeah, a katana could be considered a sword because it's a one-handed weapon. Claymores are dual-handed weapons.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is I just thought it was a claymore was just that region's that's the Scottish region's name for sword, basically.
Like version, yeah.
Yeah.
There's more technicalities to it, and it has to do with like the size of it, weight of it, stuff like that, like how you would brandish it in warfare, kind of a deal.
Well, yeah.
But he doesn't know that there's a difference, and I think that's a bad thing because he's the one walking around with it, trying to be our fucking story time. If you're the goddamn educator and you don't know there's a difference, there's a fucking problem here. The fact he didn't try to say he was fucking Loch Ness Monster's tooth, I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, I was so tired of his bullshit.
Yeah, like I didn't care to go back, but when he's like, oh, it's Nessie's tooth, I was like, well, what part of the sword? Like, this thing's metal. Nessie has metal teeth now?
Yeah.
Like
Nessie's apparently 1,000 feet tall. Because any animal, like what, even a dinosaur tooth we've seen, and they're not that big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, did you grind down every fucking tooth and refashion it? Like, it was just fucking upsetting, dude, because it was so stupid and childish. And here's the deal. If this is the reaction they're going for, then can we just acknowledge he's a heel? and boo him.
Yes. Yes.
That's
yes.
it. I'm happy with that. Like I said, I got no problem with Drew. I think he's one of the best heels in the business. But quit telling me to cheer him and quit saying that he's a fucking babyface. Like, this was heel shit. He was being a dick. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with all the story times and stuff like that, you know, like the only thing I can think of is Drew's coming out with comic. He's gonna put all these stories in the comic book.
Oh, that would be crazy.
I'd be a little interested in it, but
if they do
like,
that, I hope Scotty Young does the art for it. Scotty Young, if you don't know him, he's a Marvel artist. I'll send you a link because I know you won't look it up. But anybody who's listening, look up Scotty Young, comic book artist. That's the style I want for a Drew McIntyre comic book. It's really good stuff, too. I'm not being a dick on that one.
For sure. But, like, how interesting would that be if he's like, you know, hey, pick up your copy of this, you know?
Yeah.
It would make
sense. Stories.
It would make sense instead of, you know, the shit that he's come up with.
Dude. And that's
just randomly talking about it.
And this match in and of itself, this was actually a good match between Drew and Jinder.
Yeah,
but I'll be honest, it was really fucking difficult for me to stay and pay attention to it. I walked out of the room several times. I looked down at my phone a couple times because it was hard for me to get invested in Drew at this point because I just boo him so bad. But I did watch most of it, and it was actually very, very good. Like I said, Drew's very talented, very confident on the mic. The shit he's saying is so stupid, I want to boo him. Please just acknowledge he's a heel and let me boo him, please. I'll still go to his meet and greets, I promise. I'm not that what was that guy JD from New York? He goes on his YouTubes and he screams so bad you're just like, dude, you're gonna fucking have a heart attack. Like, you also might not like wrestling. Like, calm down. Like, we like to yell about wrestling a little bit, but it's because we actually like it. Like, we're not passionately against any of it. Like, the fuck. But I'm just saying, because he had a recent tirade, that JD guy. I've got him so blocked though. I don't know most of the things. This one got through all my blocks, which means that it was another big one. It was about Zelina. He was one of the guys yelling about how she's such a fucking horrible person for going back to WWE. I just lost so much respect for her. And I was like, it's so funny.
Yeah.
But I just want to boo Drew McIntyre. That's all I want. Just let me boo him, and we're back in business. I did like
boo the Drew.
Boo the Drew. I did like Shanky and Veer getting involved. I liked that it ended in DQ because it just meant that I got to see Drew McIntyre beat up a bunch, and I love that. I mean,
the only thing I didn't like is they never showed it Jinder's super kick.
What?
Like they had that one angle where one of the guys was in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And then even they showed the replay and they still showed that camera angle.
Huh.
So I don't know if he missed that bad or what happened with it, but I was like, man, I want to see a Drew or a Jinder super kick.
It could be that he was far enough off that it was like a different angle exposes it where this angle still looks good.
But you didn't see it at all.
Oh.
One of the guy's legs in the way of in the camera angle. And you just hear, oh, the commentators say, oh, you hear the contact or slap, whatever you call it. And you never see it. But they're like, that was a hell of a super kick from Jinder.
Actually, I'm watching it right now. Two guys are beating him up in the corner. Drew McIntyre's fighting back. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that angle was totally covered.
Yeah, and then they showed the replay of that angle.
Back. Yeah. He had to have been so far away. There's no way, because it was so blocked. Because that wasn't the hard cam, right? So they didn't show the hard cam side of it, which means he had to have been from the hard cam at least. It had to have been bad, dude.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah, he was like a foot off. We're like, well, if you don't see it, you just see the motion. It looks okay.
But then when they do the replay, because they showed the replay and they showed that camera angle, and it's like, well, why did they even show the replay?
Well, because this is what just happened. You always show a replay of what just happened. And Jinder looks awesome afterwards. He's all flexing. Ah!
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm all about it. I'm all about Jinder coming back. Jinder throwing him around. The old Colossus.
Yeah.
I like that Colossus. It's like a chokehold that you slam a guy in. Feels like you'd put more pressure on the choke. You know what I mean?
I think
people
it'd be
talk
cool
shit
if
on it.
he holds it the whole time. Like if he picks him up, slams him, and then it's in a submission. So it's like a 2-for-1.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. I'll give you that. And then Jinder does steal the old sword and walks away with it and says, "This is mine now. I'm going to go hide it." And then Drew's like, "No, I have it on loan. It's not mine. I owe it to Vince. I can't lose it, man. He said I really can't lose it." We did have a promo with New Day and the old Irish guy backstage, Kevin P, I think they called him. Dude, how fucking good is Kofi?
Amazing.
It's just, he's just flawless, man. You just let that guy talk forever. Just never stop talking. It's so good. Like, I don't know. I don't know there's anything to say about that promo other than flawless victory. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so good.
Yeah.
After that, we did have Lucha House Party against Mason T-Bar.
Lindsay Dorado coming out with some pretty badass gear.
He's got Kane gear.
Inspired.
Really cool. Yeah. This is one that definitely I thought should have been on main event. There was no story going into it.
Yeah.
It was two teams we haven't seen in a while. They're clearly just getting some ring time. And the Lucha House Party won.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that... Go ahead.
I was going to say, that was the weird bit of it.
Yeah.
Is, you know, it's like, all right, Mason T-Bar is just going to wreck shit, you know, and then they lost, and I was like, cool. Like, you know, I've always liked Lucha House Party. I think they're great.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, sweet, they won. And then I was like, wait, they won. I was like, well, what does this mean? I was like, I had like a whole array of emotions going on after that.
You're like, this is good, I think,
Yeah.
for someone. Yeah. I just noticed in the chat, Kiro ran out of alcohol and he hasn't talked since. I have a feeling he just left. Yeah, this was a weird one where it's just like, I don't know why it was televised. I don't know why it couldn't have been what it was. Mason T-Bar looked great. Lucha House Party looked great. It was a good match. It just, I didn't understand why it was here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean that in the, I don't mean to be disrespectful in that. I'm sure it sounds disrespectful and I apologize, but it just, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But again, everyone looked great. Their gear was all awesome, and I really like Mason T-Bar. I think it's a little peculiar. They're holding on to the main names without reason, but I also think that they did a really bad job of explaining the reason on how they got the names to begin with, so maybe it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking that they're holding on to, like, hey, they're mean. They're big, mean guys. Like, if they went back to Dio Madden and Dominic Dijakovic, they might lose some of that luster of them being mean.
Dude, what if they're holding on for fans to come back to reunite Retribution?
But then you keep them all off and you don't see them.
Yeah. No, yeah, you see them and they all do other things, and then all of a sudden they're back together. Retribution, Wave 2, the new Retribution.
Led by Keith Lee.
Yes. Keith Lee comes back. That's how we do it, man. That's how we do it. Let's see. After that, we had Matt Riddle and Damian Priest in a backstage promo, which was pretty good.
Yeah, you know what's funny is
Priest.
I was going to say last week when the, Damian Priest was back there, I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot about him. And it sucks because he's awesome. And so he was Bad Bunny's sidekick.
Dude, that's just it. I even mentioned it before where I was all like, back to Miz being injured and still here. I was like, well, good news. If Miz is injured, he leaves. We finish up a program with Damian Priest and Morrison where they just have a banger of a match without zombies.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen. And then they're like, well, let's just continue with the horrible part, and we'll just shelf the amazing part.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating bit, is Damian Priest is so good, and Miz and Morrison is so hard to watch. I'm at this point like, what are we doing? Now, Morrison and Ricochet's are great matches, and Ricochet's been cutting great promos. Dude, and how big is Ricochet at this point? You see how big his arms are at this point?
Yeah.
Dude's put on weight.
Yeah, he is.
And he's still able to move like he always could, which is also crazy. He's starting to remind me of Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, when Eddie got big all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully it's not the same reasons, but...
Well, hopefully there's a different reason. I mean,
yeah.
Ricochet's been working out like crazy, though. His stuff's always showing it. But, like, I mean, and I guess at the same time, you can't just take steroids and be big. You have to work out like crazy if it's going to work. But all that aside, like I said, we hope it's not any kind of illicit thing. But Ricochet's arms and chest are getting so big, and he's still so agile that it's reminding me of, like, those WWF era time frame with Eddie and even Rey Mysterio, when Rey Mysterio was really big. Where they're still moving in a crazy way, but they look fucking mean.
Yeah. They're buff and, like you said, still agile as hell.
Yeah. 100%. So I just think Ricochet's looking like a badass. Let's see, what do we have after that? Oh, we had Riddle against AJ, which I really didn't get why. Except for the whole, like, them talking some shit in the beginning of the show, which was okay.
AJ.
But then this...
AJ kicked him.
Yeah, kicked his
Almost
foot.
threw Riddle off the ladder, and then AJ kicked him. And...
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, overall, there wasn't much of a story between the two guys.
Yeah.
And then the Viking Raiders come out, and they get involved in a way, and then now next week we have AJ against one of the Viking Raiders and almost against one of the other Viking Raiders.
Yep.
This is one of those ones where this feels like such a holding pattern. Weird.
100%. And 100%, because they already announced it. Because right after they said that, they said the following week, for the first time in front of fans, in I think it was Fort Worth, it's the Viking Raiders versus AJ and Omos for the titles.
Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. So then it's kind of like, fuck.
Yeah,
I mean, all those guys are great, so to see them in rings, not a bad thing, but it's not an exciting thing at this point if we know we're just waiting.
Yeah, I mean, the only exciting part is that Omos has a one-on-one. But are we interested in watching two matches that we're basically going to see the next week in one match?
And they're probably going to end in schmazes.
Yeah.
Someone's going to interfere or something. And then it'll make it into a tag match after the break.
Right.
After that, we had Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley having a terrible promo of a crutch sword fight that looked awful and clunky, and I hated every second of it, man.
Dude, it reminded me of two kids playing with wrapping paper tubes.
Yes. That's 100% what it looked like now that you mention it.
It was so terrible.
It was
But
awful.
even, like,
and then,
the thing that annoyed me is, you know, they're like, oh, Charlotte talking about her injury. I was like, oh, shit, did she actually get hurt? And as soon as I saw the crutch that looked like it was 3-4 inches too small for her, I was like, oh, God. And then they just dragged it out. And then Rhea comes out with the other crutch. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is terrible.
This whole segment was 90% too long. I wasn't into it or buying anything that anybody was saying. I thought nobody looked good here. And even then, when Charlotte comes out with a crutch, I was like, man, she really wants to be Becky real bad, huh?
Yeah. But then she comes out with the crutch on fucking with high heels on.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the, like, come on. Like, try and make this a little believable. Make the crutch the right size and put on just fucking regular rocking shoes because no one's, you know, hobbling down in fucking high heels.
Yeah, and put on at least a fucking phony knee brace. You just look like you grabbed a crutch on the way out.
Yeah.
Like, it was awful, dude. It was awful. It wasn't believable. I didn't, yeah. It sucks, man, because I'm watching it, I'm watching it thinking to myself, God damn, Rhea Ripley was something else a year ago.
100%.
And now she's just something else on the show I skipped through. Like,
And when she, came and won the title and everything, it was like, cool, this is going to be great. As soon as they paired her up against Charlotte, I'm like, man, they better not be burying Rhea like Charlotte always does.
doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I'm like, man, this is going that direction, and just stop, please.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, not into it at all. And then they followed it up with another random-ass nothingness. Jackson and R-Truth against Cedric, Alexander, and Elias. I was like, what the fuck is this? It didn't make any sense. 24/7 title runs through at one point. R-Truth just fucking leaves. Jackson Riker beats up Cedric Alexander for no fucking reason. And Elias walks away looking scared. I mean, everyone in the match looks physically good. And the match wasn't technically bad. But I didn't understand for one fucking second why the match was happening. Why people were behaving the way they were. I mean, I guess Jackson Riker looks intense, and that's okay. But, I mean, I was okay with the Elias Jackson Riker rivalry to begin with. At this point, it just feels super played out, and I have no idea what the fuck we're doing. And is it like we're trying to keep this rivalry adjacent to the 24/7 title for some reason?
Yeah.
It felt like for a show that's 3 hours long, it felt like they were trying to book for 6 hours and said, well, what if we just combine a bunch of segments?
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like a 6-hour show that had to fill a 3-hour spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, put these guys together. Put these guys together. And you know what's crazy? When Cedric Alexander went out, I was like, okay, cool. That means Riker's tagged with Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
And then our Truth music plays, and I was like, it's cool to see Truth again. But then I was like, well, why? Didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then the whole 24/7 title spot happened, and you see Shelton Benjamin running, chasing Tozawa, and I'm like, man.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, dude, this is why this episode was just so tough, because it was like a whole lot of it, and we don't miss episodes. So it's not like it's not like when I watch AEW once every few months and go, all right, I don't understand everything that's happening here, but that's on me.
Yeah.
At least partially on me. I don't know how much of the stuff they explained before, but I don't know, right? This is one where I know what they've explained before, and I could not make heads or tails on why anything was happening in this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, it brought us to the main event, though, and the main event was solid. New Day versus Bobby Lashley and MVP. Really good match. New Day gets the win, which I do think, as much as people might disagree, I think it's the right move. New Day is such a fucking well-established, good tag team that when they're in a tag team match, they have the advantage. That needs to be part of the... We've always been upset when you have tag teams who get into a match against two people who are not a tag team, and then the tag team loses. We've always talked about how you would think they have the advantage being in a tag team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's their specialty.
That's their specialty. So yeah, I agree that New Day getting the win was really good. I get why they got the pin on MVP. I didn't get why MVP thought the need to jump up right after getting kicked with the Trouble in Paradise. I didn't understand it at all. I thought that buries the move, and it makes MVP look kind of dumb because he jumps up in such a fashion that it looks like, well, I guess you could have jumped up a second ago, right? You know what I mean? Like, it makes it look phony. It makes it look like...
See, and...
Go ahead.
I'm okay with it as long as it's not a full kick out. If it's a 1, 2, 3, and then you, like, barely throw your shoulder up, I'm okay with that. Where it's like, damn it, like, I almost got out, but I didn't. But once again, like, I don't want to see it all the time like we used to. And here it made no point. MVP makes his return to the ring, which once again, like, I think it should have been a bigger moment.
Yeah, true.
And, it's like, okay, you lost. It's not a big deal for you to sit there and say, okay, Trouble in Paradise, like, it phased me enough where I lose, but it didn't knock me out. Yeah, I'm sitting there once again scratching my head. We're like, well, what the fuck?
What? Yeah, what would MVP have lost by staying down for an extra second on the Trouble in Paradise? You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing when they get to the 3, and then after the 3, they kind of roll over. Like, they wouldn't have had enough energy anyways. Or lay down to, like, the 4 or 5 and then kind of jerk a little bit. Like, fuck, I'm so dazed. But when it's, like, on the 3, and the second the 3 goes, and they, like, fucking thrust out of it, every time I'm all like, what the fuck was that? Like, like the Trouble in Paradise ain't shit. I think part of the idea here is we're supposed to believe that if Kofi gets the Trouble in Paradise on Bobby, it's done. You know what I mean? That builds that anticipation of when you see it. Yeah.
If it's not putting away MVP in his first match back, who's probably has ring rust, because he was out for months.
Yeah.
Like,
if it barely put him out at all?
Yeah, how are we supposed to believe Kofi has a chance against Bobby at Money in the Bank?
Yeah, 100%. So I didn't like that. But I like the win. I like the match itself. Bobby Lashley is a fucking freak, dude. Like, he's in his 40s, and he's in the best shape in the world. I don't know that anybody's got a better physique than him.
Dude, it's so ridiculous.
And he's a legit terrifying person because he comes off as such a fucking badass. And he's huge.
Yeah, when he, like, freaking screams and does like, it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah. You're like, I think I would break my hand before you even were dazed by my punches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think I'd break my ankle from turning around too fast and trying to run away.
Yeah. The dude's a wall. He is an actual human wall. It's insane. Splinter Fox coming through. Cheers to Splinter Fox.
Cheers.
But that was Raw, dude. I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to throw in there?
I don't think so.
Do you think that... So, there's a theory floating around that Kofi beats Bobby, Big E wins Money in the Bank, Big E cashes in on Kofi. I don't see that happening even a little bit, dude.
I don't either.
That seems like such a crazy fantasy booking. I want to see New Day implode, and I don't see New Day needing to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Splinter Fox does say he would love to see Bobby versus The Rock. Dude, I can't think of an opponent that I wouldn't be excited to see Bobby Lashley against. Bobby Lashley's on a new level. He's performing so
Drew
good.
McIntyre.
I mean, they had good matches, and Bobby Lashley won every time. So, I like that. So, if I had Bobby versus Drew again, I go, well, Bobby's going to win, and I like that.
Yep.
But yeah, Bobby versus The Rock. I think Roman versus The Rock would be good for obvious reasons. I know a lot of people fantasy book that one too. It's not a big thing. Bobby versus Brock. Splinter Fox says, fuck it, let's do Roman versus Bobby. That'd be good.
I was going to say, yeah, Bobby versus Roman would be awesome.
If we can get all the way to Survivor Series and they're both still champs, for one, I would love it. For two, what a match.
Yeah. You see, I don't think they're going to do the way that they've done the last few years. Oh, never mind. I'll take that back.
I think they will.
I think they will.
I think they're probably going to put
say
NXT back in the mix.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, because of the whole Fox deal, but that was on last year anyway, so.
Yeah.
And they still look like that. That's why we need factions. You can have factions versus factions.
That's a good point. That's why you need Nikki Bella and Eva Marie. Building a faction. I think they'll bring NXT back into the fold at Survivor Series. As much as I didn't like it last time they did it, I do think now that NXT is on a new channel, ratings being what they are, ratings seeming to matter to some people, I don't know. But you do have NXT on a new channel, so it wouldn't hurt to say, hey, here's NXT, and remember it's on this night now.
Yeah, but the problem is that we didn't like it because we liked it at first. It was like, cool, all three of them are in there. We didn't like it because they just had NXT steamroll everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a second, this is
sweep.
Yeah, this is developmental. I know that's what they're trying to branch off from, but it's at the same time, it's like, come on now, like NXT can't just go in and get the sweep.
Yeah, I'd have been okay if NXT barely squeaked out a win over them, being like, oh, they won this one, they didn't win this one, they didn't win that. They only lost one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like because Roman was in the match, and Roman wasn't losing. And you're like, okay, well, that makes sense. It's fucking Roman. And when you look back on Roman's booking at this point, they did it right the whole time. Every time they're all like, no, Roman's the dude. And you're all like, no, he's not. Now you look back on it and you go, yeah, they were right. He should have won every one of those Rumbles.
Yeah.
Should've
He
won
was
more,
the dude,
actually.
but it's just like Drew, is that he was a heel, and it wasn't until they actually made him a heel that we appreciated him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'll appreciate Drew when I am allowed to boo him.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll be on the Drew train. The Drew Express.
Yeah, because in the ring, in the ring, like he's been doing a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Not that he was shit before, but it's like the little things that I've noticed.
Yes.
But it's just his promos and everything else just leads me out of it because I don't want to hear it anymore. See it.
Yeah. Every time he's like, "Oh, let me tell you a story," I'm just like, "No."
Oh, please don't. Damn it, Grandpa Joe. Stop it.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with the show?
Nope. I think that was it.
All right. We're going to hit the chat real fast because Splinter Fox has a question here. He says, Jimmy, why does this dude not have a personal driver or have a bus? I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Shouts to Jimmy Uso. I know that we're a wrestling show, so we're not going to do a cheers to him, but we definitely are going to give him we want to see you down the road. We want you to be safe. That's just it. There's really no excuse this day and age on driving drunk. And I think that he knows that. I think that he feels that. And I think that there's something much deeper there. The people I've known in my life do have similar instances repetitively, have had something much deeper they've had to deal with. And I think that that's just getting exposed, and unfortunately it's getting exposed in a public forum. And that sucks for him because he's so good. We obviously all love him. Splinter Fox wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't on his mind because he didn't respect the guy, There's just too much out there. And we just want to make sure that we implore everybody who's listening that if you do find yourself even one drink too many or even slightly considering, hey, maybe I shouldn't, then the answer is definitely don't. There's too many good reasons, and there's too many options out there. There's no reason to hesitate to call a ride. Spinner Fox says he has so much going for him right now, and that's just it too. There's something clearly else going on, right? This dude is at the top of his game. He's performing on another level he never has. He's performing with his family, which is probably amazing. He's in the main event. What him and his brother and his cousin are doing are the talk of wrestling. So we know that success is not the answer because he's feeling it right now. And that's what makes it so heartbreaking to see, is that someone's going through something that deep, that all of these things going for him, there's still something he's drinking away one way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything you want to throw out there?
No, you hit it exactly on the head. Like, so many different, not opportunities. Have a brain fart. But there's so many different, options. There you go. Jesus. That, this day and age, no one should have. And, I don't know if it's getting close to the point where Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, Des Bryant was always getting in trouble in a wrestling, and he literally bought him paid for a guy to be like his, hey, don't do that type of thing, his angel on his shoulder type of thing. And it's like, fuck, like, Jimmy, you almost need that. Like, all right, you've been drinking too much. Give me the keys.
Yeah. Spin Fox says this could have been his big breakout from the tag team too. The mid-card title has his name all over it. Dude, I think the sky's the limit for all these guys right now. And that's what's so frustrating. Like you said, dude, I think I've even seen, I know it wasn't New York. There was a city, is it in Tucson? Do we have one? I know there's a company out there that when you're drunk, if you call them for a ride, they don't charge you. That you can get, there is a company of what do we call them earlier? Ride shares. There's one company out there, or at least one, that if you are drunk and call that line, they pick you up, no charge, take you home, and then I think you can even get a ride back in the morning, like to get your car when you've sobered up. So it's like those options are out there in some places. I don't know Florida. I don't know that it doesn't exist, but it's just there's a lot of options, and wherever you are, wherever you're listening from, there's something there, and there's someone who cares, and there's every reason to not drive home. So, if nothing else, I implore anybody with an issue to reach out and get the help done that you need. Fabtine says, "I wonder how Naomi's handling it." I imagine not great, man. Like
Yeah.
That's the thing about these kinds of demons is they affect the family members so bad and so deeply, and the ones that love them the most hurt the most. He says he could have even been a top guy in NXT too. And he's a top guy now on the main roster. He's a top guy on SmackDown. But I hate to leave on a low note, but honestly, in the last several years, I've lost people to drinking, and I do think it's a serious thing. And although we have fun because we socialize and we drink, we always maintain responsibility of that. And I think that's really the message here is that he's got some learning to do, some growing to do. Hopefully he gets the help he needs. And to be honest, from what we've heard about WWE, they will likely be extending help one way or another. From what we've heard in interviews, even when people are released, and I don't know that Jimmy's being released. I'm not trying to spread that rumor because I don't know if that's true.
Not jumping the gun.
Not jumping the gun. But in the event that he were to have his contract severed for the reasons presented, my understanding of the company from interviews that we've heard from people who have worked there in the past is that they still typically maintain helping those people get the help that they need. So
they have the resources.
The resources are there. Faptina says, "Oh, I was wondering if it was marital issues to begin with. Who knows, man? People drink for all sorts of reasons. Matter of fact, there's a lot of people who, I mean, depression in and of itself is something that as an actual mental health issue is not case specific. It's not, there's a difference between being sad and being depressed. And a lot of times the drinking and those kinds of things come from a place that's much deeper than my happenstance. It's not, I'm having troubles at home, therefore I drink this heavily. It's not, I'm having a tough time at work, therefore I am depressed. It's usually, regardless of how good things are, people feel these ways and they feel drawn into these things. And that's the problem. That's my concern, is I don't know that it matters how good things are at home or at work. This guy seems like he's got something to deal with. And that's a bummer. And that's a bummer because we all like him and respect him so much. Fairfax says, yeah, I'm not saying he is being released, not one bit. I'm shocked it happened again. Yeah, 100%. We just want to see him get better. We want to see everyone do well. We love these guys, these performers. Oh, producer's in time for last call. It's going to make me be able to cheers at the very end of it. I was like, it's going to be weird. I'm going to be taking a drink and then run off camera. Maybe I can get her to sit down real quick and wrap it up. Okay, never mind. Guys, we are at WOTR, the show. I am at Ref Marsh. With me, as always, the other half of the IIRonics at Kevlar on the Rocks with an X. Sometimes. Like, a third of the time.
Yeah.
Go Suns.
Hell yeah.
Planet Fox does say, as our final note, maybe back on the road will be a good thing since wrestlers travel together so he can take a back seat and chill. Maybe so. Maybe that's what he needs is people around and support. Either way, cheers to you. We hope to see you down the road, everyone involved. Again, it's not about what you're drinking. It's about who you're drinking with. And we're glad you guys came to choose and have a drink with us tonight. We will be back on, what's the day, Tuesday? We will be back on Thursday for another episode 1. Guys, that's last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.